So this guy I know, George, he would come in here. My buddy asked me to talk to him and have him come on, and he's like a hardcore like Constitution guy, and it took probably 2 or 3 months for me to even grasp the concepts of like what he was talking about.
You're talking about the
like sovereign, all that shit. Where it's like, you know, like the moment you're born, your birth certificate goes down to DC, and then there's like a trust or something that they. It's literally written on your on treasury paper. You become the human capital as soon as you're born. Yep. And before your feet. Pull that close to you. Don't be scared.
There we go. But
hear the difference?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You want to hear like the boom in your voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. But the before your feet hit the earth as a free man, that's that whole concept is built off of that whole maritime law system. It was so hard for me to grasp it. Yeah. There's a guy, Brandon Joe Williams. You should look him up on the internet. He has this thing, the definitions in Black's Law Dictionary that explain, what is a person. And it's like, it was literally a word designed. All right. So,
I guess we're starting. So if we're starting, we'll just get real weird.
It will. There's so many different.
And just aim that at your chin a little bit. I just want to have the best sound that you could possibly have.
All right, we'll do. How's that?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, the whole thing for me here, coming here, I'm grateful that you got me here. But
well, first let's give a little backstory on like who you are. So just so people are aware, you grew up in this area.
I am a living train wreck.
We all are. We all are.
So I was a carpenter most of my life. I started off early, had kids early, became a union carpenter, started learning the concepts of math and things that I didn't quite have a great grasp on as a kid. But I joined the Scranton Carpenters Union here locally. And when I was about 22 years old, and you become very dynamic because you have your hands into pretty much everything. You work in hospitals, factories, pharmaceutical plants, power plants, So you see a lot of different things, but I'm very adaptive to whatever surroundings I'm in, I become dynamic and I attach myself to those things. And my whole life, I've had this thing where, that bottle of water, I will attach a dot to it. Somewhere down the road, I'm going to connect another one to it,
Right.
And it's just like, it's a compilation. Like, you're saying about the ego, we are just a walking record of what happens in our lives. And so anyway, going further through, I ended up hurting my back pretty bad at one point. And a friend of mine got me a job working for a corporation. And I got to learn the corporate world. And I was directly related to the CEO of that corporation. This big role, and the guy's talking about, hey, I'll send you some spreadsheets. And in an email. And I'm like, it's like what, in the mail or to the hotel or what, and but that's how like computer illiterate. I just had no idea what this whole world was about, this corporate thing, So I learned on a crash course real fast, in a role that most people, die out in 6 months. I was there, I think 5-6 years. Then we ended up buying a few franchises together and sold those off. It was just more for a turnaround, but investment thing. But so I learned the corporate world that way. And then when I've worked in New York City for a long time, I built a lot of flagship stores for companies like Burberry.
Yeah.
So I was a construction foreman. I've seen all these different businesses on the way that they're all put together, and we're watching the country in the same way, but being able to identify, the 15 days, all that stuff they were doing through COVID.
Oh, to flatten the curve?
Flatten the curve, right? So we're still on the 15 days,
Right.
So I'm just watching this and going, oh my God, it's the sales procedures, the things that you learn on these crash courses of learning business and in this corporate framework on the way, people are just so unarmed in the business that I was involved in that they can't see something coming at them sideways.
Right.
And I'm watching COVID going, oh my God, I know what this is right out of the gate. And I just got done reading a great book, which I was, I'm addicted and obsessed with reading books now, information constantly.
What a terrible habit.
Yeah. But I just got done reading this book by a guy named Cleon Skousen. He was an ex-FBI agent in the 30s and 40s. We went through a major transition right there that a lot of people aren't able to identify. And this is coming straight out of World War II, all these things with Hollywood. You start to go into the esoteric, crazy stuff there, but all very relevant in the, how this whole tiered evolution of COVID living now has become,
So was COVID the moment where you were like,
boom, that was
so it. What was your life like before that?
Plain, wake up every day, how am I paying my bills, blah, 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 same stuff. Job to, not job to job, but as a carpenter, like now I'm a local contractor, but, previous to COVID, so right when COVID came around, I don't know if you remember, I was building the Wilkes-Barre High School, and I was the representative for a bigger construction company here and on that site. And they started coming in with all these oddball things. One was the facial recognition ID. Put a little square green box over your face and all your guys have to do this now.
That's to get on the construction site?
To get into work in the morning, okay. Right? And everybody's laughing all through the whole COVID thing. Like, nobody's been sick. Nobody's been sick anywhere.
Did you guys keep working during COVID?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so I think it went for about a year before anybody ever showed. And there was this little old guy. He was part owner of the concrete company that was, another contractor there. And he comes in one day with a gator over his face and his eyes are like just pure white. You could see he's terrified in his face. And we would sit on cinder blocks, sharing sandwiches with each other, talking about COVID. And it was like this big joke and everything. Well, he's in his 60s. He ended up retiring after that. But right at that moment, I'm going, all right, well, what is it that's so scary to this guy? Like, did you get it? Or like, what happened? You lost your taste and your smell or blah, 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 Is
this during the 15 days to flatten the curve?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. Yeah. I don't know exactly where it is.
Before the lockdowns?
Yeah, it was before the lockdowns.
Okay.
Yep. So now there's this 2-year window when COVID started. In this 2-year window, everybody's going, where is it? I don't see it. I think I had it. I might have had it. I might not have had it. I think, and so the propaganda machine behind that, I have a video on my Facebook
now just for people who are listening to this, who don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Your videos have millions of views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which some carpenter from Scranton, well, Northeast PA, has videos with millions of views.
Yeah, I mean, humbly,
I just want to let people know that, like, it's not you're not posting videos of your cats and shit, Right. So, and you're having conversations with people publicly.
Yeah, as much as I can. And I do it on a daily basis, everywhere I go.
Currently, you're doing that.
All the time, at all times, because public perception is the only way we're going to fight back against this whole thing. This is a global takeover, So what I want to do is just so people can, like, keep up. Because a lot of these concepts that I've talked to you about are very foreign to people. For sure.
Yeah. So it's like we have to do our level best just to make sure, like, we can keep some sort of chronology so that they can understand, because, like, you're like a master's level and it's very hard for people who have, like, the 8th grade education to conceptually get a lot of it.
I think that so let me finish right there with that. I don't want to cut you off. I just want to let you know that that's what my intention is to do that. Yeah. Right at that moment, when I saw that guy get sick, I knew something was going on, right? And everybody's talking about, COVID's going to kill everybody and all that stuff. And everybody's terrified. You're in this panic mindset, like that never ended. Like, we're still there. Like, what the hell is going on with the country? I like drop F-bombs. Is that all right?
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah, this is like Joe Rogan meets Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, man. I'm all about it.
I wore my Mr. Rogers sweatshirt.
I appreciate it.
So, anyway, you know, now I start digging, and I'm very tenacious when it comes to
So you got
fighting.
curious.
More than curious. I wanted to fight back because I knew immediately, like, we're in something big. This germ is communism. Like, how did a germ become communistic like that, right?
In the response, especially.
Right, yeah. Automatically, like a Whitmer, and the mayors are all falling in line, and state employees can't do this or that. And I just knew right there, like, there's no way that any government that in a country, where I'm all hardcore. I know you were on the left side.
I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was on the right, so hardcore, like, wow, I'm ready for Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Right. And through my whole life, I built everything
Wolverines.
about me. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I built everything up about myself that way, wrestling and boxing. I boxed locally here. I had my very first sparring match with Marty Flynn, a lot smaller.
That was your first?
That was my very first time I ever sparred with anybody. And he beat the piss out of me because I couldn't catch the little bastard, But now he's a state senator. now he's a state senator.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know if you would even remember that or recognize me, but Jason Gavin, these other guys, but building myself up that way and seeing this as it was, a communist takeover by way of virus.
But what made you think that? What was your spiritual intuition or whatever that made you go, like, your spidey sense went up, something's weird?
Probably that book, because like I was very undereducated on all of like the way the world actually works,
Right.
I was like everybody else, feed myself a paycheck, however I have to do that. And I started getting into the principles of these things because the big one for me was when I saw my son put on a mask from China, where the germ comes from.
Supposedly,
right?
Yeah.
And his face explodes. Now, we were both working for the same company at the time. They said, you got to wear the mask. It's mandatory now. And the stuff I have to say about those masks will blow people's mind. Like, you can literally, we're going to like definitely hit real hard here, graphene.
Yeah.
So you can literally now go and search for graphene-free surgical masks. Why would they have to be graphene free?
Right.
Right. So anyway, his face blows up.
Like a reaction?
Anaphylactic shock. He grew like a half inch of swell to all the skin around his entire face.
Roughly what age was he?
He was about 19 or 20, I think.
So he's an adult
at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
But I see it now. This is my oldest boy.
Yeah.
I've got two girls that are older than him, all through the same marriage. And then my younger one is now 17, but he's 25 and the younger one is 17. At the time, he was the older boy was 19, 20 years old. Now we just go through, he ends up winning the district championship for wrestling and all that stuff. And I'm all pumped up and I want to bring him into the world and make a man out of him and everything. We're getting along. Life is great. And COVID starts up and I see this thing happen to his face. And like, I literally thought that my son was going to die because of all of this terrifying shit going on around us. Right.
Right.
And it just broke me at that moment. Like, wow, my son could die and I don't know what the fuck could I possibly do that would be able to save him. Right.
Right.
And if I'm relying on this corrupted shit government to do it, that's just another helpless thing. They're going to stick him in a hospital bed on a ventilator and possibly kill him. Right. And there's millions of people in our country that had to live through that, The ventilators were killing people.
They were blowing out people's lungs.
Yeah. And remdesivir was, that was
a cancer drug that killed more people than it helped.
Yeah.
Is the only approved medication for COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't conspiracy shit. At the time, people saying this, it was madness to say it.
And they were blanking everybody out. You just became muted. Like, as soon as I talked about any of these things on my Facebook's like,
total suppression.
total suppression on one side, but total, they were just lighting up your page when you would say anything that was controversial to a point where it made you look like a total idiot, or they would only allow the people that were like sub-level humans, like what other people would view them as, like, look at this guy's a smoker, that guy's got weed stuff all over his face, Facebook page, right? So anybody that was like a
total discredit.
Yeah. Right. So those are the people that would constantly be, somebody said to me in one of my messages, that guy's a heroin addict, right? I'm like, no, I had no idea. I ended up being friends with him on Facebook. Right. So I'm like, it's just weird that these people are the ones that are getting fed the algorithm of the things that I'm putting all over Facebook, which is an identification system. The whole thing. We
got to get into all, like, we have to like take our time because this is like we're doing pre-K right here.
So facial recognition and identification stuff, and if you noticed lately over the past 2 years, every app that you have, you're signing your rights away every time agree to privacy policy.
Right.
The change in privacy policy over and over and over and over again, right? No matter what, if it's TikTok, right? And I've given up on X for that. I've given up on TikTok. I won't even open them anymore. I'm already a dead man on Facebook. If I, my future is dependent on the things that I said on Facebook, I'm a dead man. I don't know if you're aware, like the people over in Australia, Germany, if they say the word Jew, they'll get put in prison.
They had terrible like watching what happened to Australia and Germany and Canada during the last 5-6 years was terrible.
So that's the Kalergi. Are you talking about the immigration stuff?
No, I'm just talking about like the total oppression of like free speech and the subjugation of humans, where it's like they weren't allowed to like do anything without threat of jail or fines. It was totally. And I would watch people from these countries weeping, going like, America, do not fall, do not give in to this guns. Because you're the last place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, wait. Your son's face blows up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to there.
Yeah.
So that was your moment to be like, what is this? What's going on? And then
Red Dawn is off the.
And for those who aren't familiar, it's a great movie with Patrick Swayze from the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was written by John Milius, the same guy who wrote Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. So I'm at this moment watching my son's face blow up and just terrified, like, holy shit, please, I hope he doesn't die. And I must have called him 3 times at his mom's house for, within the next few hours, because I'm totally bummed out. Like, oh my God, is he going to live? Is he, and you got to think now we're getting this onslaught, propaganda over the news over and over and over again. Everybody's locked down. You're not allowed to go anywhere. The restaurants are all shut down. There's nowhere really to go but sit home and watch the news addictively, right? And so I'm petrified from the things that I see in the news, and I'm just like everybody else in the United States at this point. Like, watch the news. That's where you get all your information, right? The trusted source and all of that, right?
They'll never lie to us. Right.
Well, I hit a point there where I was like, I want to kill Democrats.
What?
I want to kill Democrats. Like, that's the point. I'm watching Fox News all day, every day. The whole Biden thing happens.
Oh, so it makes you, okay. So it's like, okay, gotcha.
And I'm freaking out.
So you're like brainwashed that way.
Yeah, right. On the other side. And you're watching the Democrats. I hate you, fascist, scumbag, Christian, blah, blah, blah. You want anti-abortionists and all that stuff. And I'm just watching all the politics taking hold. And I'm going, everybody's just fucking crazy here.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Right. And I start reading in the frequency. And this is where that's the big one. It really got my brain I'm on a different level with that stuff now.
So let's explain to people what that is.
The frequency part of it all.
Just like, what is frequency? What does it mean? Where is it found in the world?
It is the foundational language in all things. And if you go back and you read on ancient Egypt, there's the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom. His name is Thoth, Thoth, right? Very spiritual practices they had pre-takeover, right? The takeover is basically by the people that have the star inside the circle, the 6-pointed star. And it's not the whole Jew thing. It is not that. It's something way bigger than that, and that's the network throughout history. But anyway, this guy now, Thoth, the god of wisdom, the scribe of the gods, he has these different little things you can find on the internet. If you watch YouTube, it'll be an excerpt of something that he says. The emerald tablets, he's always speaking apophatically. Is the concept is like, I am that thing speaking as that thing, So this is Jesus' speech, this is any Greek god of that era. It's that speech, right? But in the beginning, God spoke. It's the language. It is the language that is in all things. So this God Thoth, now I start putting all this stuff together as a fabric for understanding on myself. Like, he says, I am the wind that sweeps down from the mountains high. I am the breeze that floats across the plains to feed the plants their seed. And, the flame would not wisp without me, and all of these crazy things, right? And like, he sounds a lot like Jesus,
right?
And what he's talking about is that shape in all things, right? So
the Fibonacci
sequence in all things, right? I am the fabric. He's basically saying I am that which permeates all things. And so our view, modern day, westernized Christianity, Catholicism, whatever, our view of I am that which is in all things, that's God, right?
Right.
So I start in on all of these esoteric type things, but that's the earliest origin. And I start learning that frequency was the earliest language, and its identity is, all right, so where we're going to land and where we started, it's Egypt at the beginning of it all, as a purely spiritual concept. At the end of it, it is AI. So COVID-19, right? Certificate of vaccination.
Identification.
ID 19.
Yeah.
And you have to think 19 is A, I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, right? So, that's what the entire thing was about. So the ID part of that was all the graphene stuff. So if you take the concept of the beginning to the end, the alpha and the omega, it's God and the merger of AI with God, right? That thing that is in all things, that thing that permeates all things, that spiral sequence that is in water and air, your breath, your life, in your hand and all that.
Nature, land, animals, plants.
That's what that's what AI is learning that right now. And on a scale that like most people would never be able to understand that. But the way that they do that is there's a substrate called graphene or graphene oxide, the nanoparticle that was definitely in all of the vaccines. So
so what makes you say that?
I just
and forgive me if I push back on this. I'm just doing it a little just to
for the people. Yeah, because like that's the first thing that other people do. There's no way that my son is constantly doing that to me, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. He just argues right out of the gate with me,
It keeps you on your toes though.
For sure. But man, is it aggravating once you actually know something versus believe it, so
right.
There's propaganda, internet propaganda. So, I guess we can go into all the graphene stuff.
Yeah, let's do frequencies. Let's stick with frequencies.
All right. So frequencies, I ended up buying myself, we ended up getting a Rife machine.
Now, these are used in other countries to heal sports injuries. Am I correct?
Sports injuries. Well, so they have cryogenic chambers.
It's RIFE, right?
RIFE.
Yeah.
Royal Raymond Rife was the scientist that came out with the technology. They had like all these government celebrations. Nobody's ever going to be sick again, right? We can heal everything, grow teeth back. I had arthritis real bad in my knees. It's been really rough on my body. 2 back surgeries. Terrible couple of years I was having. Bought this thing, and 3 days later, all the arthritis is dead, gone. I'm running up and down my stairs like a 30-year-old kid. Like, there's no way, right?
Really?
Yeah. So your brain also works on frequency, right?
Yes.
You've got alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, and all that stuff.
And it's not crazy because they test for it when you watch it. When you watch people testing brainwave patterns.
Yes. And then they also watch it through your Apple products, right? When they kept getting nuts about all of the
Apple Watches,
wearable devices, right?
Yes.
That's optogenetics, but on the wearable devices that's optogenetics. But the AirPods you're a walking EEG with those things.
Yes.
So the stimuli that you're experiencing,
I stopped wearing them.
Oh yeah, my kid was wearing them for a while, but I explained that to him. They're for the people that don't believe this, watch the meeting at Davos, World Economic Forum. It's probably about 3 years old. They say we use this technology regularly already, and I can't remember the name. Something Verifani or something. Her last name is. I can't remember her last name. But look the video up anyway. That's what the title would be on YouTube, is Brainwave Transparency. It's the people that run the world and the richest tech CEOs of the world.
And the politicians.
Are saying, the Leonardo DiCaprios and all these guys that influence the way your daily behavior goes through visual stimulation on the on the movies and whatnot. All these people are involved somehow in all of this. And, this lady gets up and starts talking about these wearable devices. Headsets. How many kids own a Microsoft headset for their Xbox?
Right.
I'm not saying that it's that those are reading, but there's something there that is either driving cognitive imbalance, or some form of radiation is going to be there no matter what. I remember at one point I would play Xbox games with my kids, and I'd have after a half an hour, I have these terrible migraines. And I'm going like, I can't wear those things. They're like giving me migraines every time I'm wearing them. But I thought, my ex-wife used to tell me, you're playing those games with the kids too long. It's your eyes. That's why you're getting the migraines, And it was the headsets. It was the radiation from the headsets, So it's poisonous to the water in the brain. That's the most electrical conductive stuff that you have in your body.
So let's while we're on frequencies and electricity.
I've got ADHD
I'm trying to keep you online. Right.
All right.
It's compelling because it opens up new avenues. So with frequency, right? There's audio frequencies, there's sound frequencies, there's visual frequencies, the observable and unobservable light spectrum. There's frequencies and resonances from inanimate objects, as we think. There's frequencies that emit from plants, that emit from rocks, that emit from the earth. So we're all surrounded. We don't talk about it.
It's scientifically, we don't look into it. That the name for that is photoelectric effect is an EMF radiation output from something that has absorbed some form of radiation, whether it's any of those in the spectrums you're talking about, or electrochemical. Electrochemical is how light interferes with the bonding of two different types of molecules, whether that's salt and or magnesium and phosphorus. This is what is going on inside the body. It's what builds the plasma around the cell.
So COVID taught a bunch of people about cellular dynamics and some people took it the right way, some people took it the wrong way, but we all started to think in ways of these little things that we can't see, we can't interact with, to start to understand what makes up the human body, what makes up a virus, what makes up a cell, what makes up a blood cell, what makes up a tissue cell, organs, all that stuff. So we can totally start to understand, which is something that I think we forgot, about how fragile all these mechanisms are and how susceptible they are to outside interferences.
Yeah.
When there's a lot to do with frequency. Because they all resonate.
Exactly. You're familiar with cymatics? Have you ever heard of cymatics?
I'm not deep dived on it, but I'm familiar with conceptually.
All right. So this is something that would be a part of the framework for you to understand this the way that I see all these other things. And it would be, if you take a steel plate and you throw sand on it and you start with 1 hertz, 2 hertz.
Oh, the vibration forms into shapes.
Yeah, that's called a Chladni plate. So it's a Chladni plate, the scientists.
And for those that don't know, it kind of looks like sacred geometry, depending on the frequency.
So there are harmonious and disharmonious frequencies attached to that as a science, But as that study, he did it with a bow for a violin,
right?
But they have done this with frequency. I built them in my own garage, just playing around. I'm nuts about that kind of stuff. Making my own things, my own little experiments on these things, cloudbuster being one of them. And it worked, So cymatics is extremely important because it's the manipulation of mass based on frequency. I don't know if you ever saw any of these videos on any of the social media sites where the guy turns his bass up so high that the metal on the door frame starts to wave, right? And you're going wow, that's crazy, but it's literally happening. And so the point that I have to get to with this is that when you're talking about the vibration as a method of manipulation on anything, you also have to take into account what is the density of the thing that is being manipulated as well. Right. So I could take salt and throw it on that cloudny plate at 528 hertz, and it would make 4 big circles or semicircular shapes, right? So the sacred geometry stuff, and they would fall in line in this resonance field. Now, I can increase the frequency, and the higher I go in frequency, the smaller those shapes start to get now. So we're in the hundreds, of 100 billions range of hertz with these 5G towers, right? So think about that. And the reason why is because the higher you go in frequency, the smaller the
wave is.
Well, the smaller the wave is. So it's like if you have a quarter and you have a wavelength that's bigger than the diameter of that quarter, it's not going to penetrate it.
Right.
But if I've got 50 wavelengths that would pass through something that size of the quarter, you can look up, there's a thing that they call the Kugo death ray back in Japan in the 40s after World War II is over, and they wanted to get back at the United States with this Kugo death ray. And they were 10 miles out. They were killing rabbits, and they would lock them in a cage, set them on a separate island. But 10 miles away, they're killing these animals. But the bad part was they had to, with radio frequency, the bad part was they were using meter long waves, which is a long, so the point behind it was to take down airplanes from afar, kill human soldiers out of the United States Army and whatever. So they're using that as a weapon. That's like one of the earliest frequency weapons that we could think of. And that was in the 40s, right? So
how far have they come? That's what I'm saying.
5G.
Yeah.
5G. But it's for us. It's not for the enemy, right? And this is through public-private partnerships, they call them, right? The corporations.
Yeah, so the corporations work with the governments.
Yeah. As privateers. The government has their, what they allow, and these corporations, like you're going to have a fight with Bill Gates if you want to fight against, or Facebook as a corporate entity. Good luck arguing with them, right?
Right.
That's the point behind the government offloading that, because we can go back after the government, like we can't go back after the corporations in the same way. Where, so anyway, like this frequency thing with radio. Now I start reading about the Kugo death ray. That was one of the early things I got onto, and the bad part, why they abandoned the program in Japan, was because it became extremely expensive. They ran it for about 5 years, but everything that they killed, they had to do so while it was a stationary target, which doesn't work in war, right? So they give up on all of that.
Because of the crest and the trough of the wave?
Yeah, the length of the wave, crest to crest, yeah.
Yep.
So the wave itself was inadequate. And so now if you're talking back to this cloudny plate thing, right? If, now let's just say I run at 528 hertz, that's the frequency of the heart, right?
Right.
I run 528 hertz on the salt, and it comes up to make these beautifully elaborate images of whatever, right, by the way that they settle. So that material, like the door frame, the guy with the base, right, that material is moving in such a way that it isolates these things in those patterns. Well, now if I change the frequency, the shape will change. But if I take the material, wipe it off, and add, powder, like baking flour, say, right?
Sure.
It's a finer particulate. You would have to increase the frequency in order to get that to do the same thing. So 528 hertz, if I were to double that, these all go into the whole 369 thing. These are the relevant numbers, or harmonious with nature numbers, that goes into all the esoteric Trinity stuff.
But this stuff has been passed down for millennia.
Yeah.
These numbers and these frequencies.
It's spiritual technology that has been isolated.
Like ancient culture stuff.
Yeah. The Kabbalists, right? Trump is after the Cabal, like the literal Kabbalists. They were right. Jewish mystics. But it all stems out of ancient Egypt, primarily, firstly. And that's what they explain in all these different kinds of reliefs and carvings that, we don't have access to as the public. That's what they're hiding. in all of those different places.
Well, I mean, we're at the point now where, and I want to stick on frequency just to understand it because it's a good baseline. But like for people who are skeptical of whatever you're saying, like it's entirely possible now that with the technology that we have today, that there is potentially spires underneath the Egyptian pyramids and massive underground mazes and all this crazy shit in the Giza Plateau. And I was just watching a video last night. I think this guy was on Rogan, and he's down in Peru, and he's the only guy. Like, it's not teams of archaeologists. It's this guy, a drone, and a camera. And he's traveling all over the world.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
And he found all these places that were pyramids that were not built, but they were cut out of the bedrock, like perfectly.
There's a lot of that in India.
So too. I'm just saying, like, these concepts they might be foreign to people that are listening to this right now, but they are not lies or made up. Like these things are totally real, and it's a hard thing for people to grasp because of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of not knowing, of no one talking about
science.
Correct. I think
so. You started talking about this before. What you were talking about was the virus and stuff, right? That was actually exosome. So the exosome, that's a particle packet of waste that the cell will create as a debris. If you go and drink alcohol excessively one night, you wake up and you're dehydrated. And guess what? That little spike ball COVID cartoon bubble would show up in a blood test if you were hungover. And the reason for that is what the mitochondria realizes that there's a threat, there's poison, right? And there's like probably in the past 5 to 6 years is where I read this, but new, groundbreaking medical technology. We found out that the kidneys are the place that is like the information hub, the radio antenna for all of the cells in the body to communicate. So we've got functional cells like kidney or lung or brain, right? And then we've got just regular blood cells and then white blood cells and all that. Well, so the kidneys are responsible for that network of communication from cell to cell inside the body. So what will happen now, if you notice, they started with the remdesivir stuff. First place it all attacked was the kidneys, by the way. And
everybody had kidney failure. Everybody's
yeah. So, but now this,
but they at the time they were saying that it was a symptom of an infection from COVID. At the time they were saying that because there were doctors going like, we don't understand this thing. We're seeing kidney failure. We're seeing all these things. And I remember at the time going like, stop giving them fucking remdesivir.
Yeah. That was just pure insanity. The whole thing is insane. I mean, it was literally murdering people, and it was willful ignorance on the doctor's parts because we don't have like legitimate scientific doctors anymore. Not to say that I'm worthy of that as a
but you can read a book and come to a conclusion.
Yeah, for sure. And so now this whole thing with the exosome is that so
that's the waste product of the cell.
Yeah,
the exosome.
And so all the way back to the Spanish flu,
1917.
Yes. So the Spanish flu it comes out, and what happened, a year previous to that was the commercialization of AM radio. Frequency
in 1916?
So 1885, I think, is when Marconi actually found out that there's a resonant energy field coming off of the earth, and like, hey, all I got to do is add some ones and zeros to this and I can make an information wave, right? So then you have,
which could be deduced as sound.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Resonance from the stars as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's radio. Just like these emit. I wish I would have brought the meter with me. I have a meter. I can measure these for you and show you how much radiation.
I don't think this will be our last time talking. So next time we'll do it.
Yeah. So now, that whole thing happens with AM radio, and it travels through the earth. It travels through the water, but it also travels through your body. And you can take your key fob, right? If you wanted to take your key fob from your truck or your car or whatever, right? And you walk 100 feet away from your car and you see the lights aren't working anymore when you're pushing the button to lock the door. Well, now I take another 100 steps away like from the time the lights stop working to another 100 steps away, now I know I'm guaranteed that radio frequency chip is definitely not going to turn my car on, right? So your body is pure crystalline energy and vibration and frequency and all that stuff, but your mind is where all of the electrical conductive antenna-like material is, right? But salt water. So you take that thing and you put it up against the moisture underneath your neck, and your brain actually becomes an amplifier for that signal, and you'll get another 50 or 100 feet out of the distance.
You're shitting me.
Swear to God. Yeah. I had so when I owned the Amco franchises, I had a mechanic say to me, I came running in the one day, it was pouring raining outside. I came running in. I'm like, damn it, I forgot to lock that, expensive car. There's a Mustang out there. I forgot to lock it. And the guy's, just put the thing underneath your chin. It was some guy in Baltimore, a black dude. And I'm like, what? He goes, I do it. And I'm like, I said, whoa. And then I went and I pushed the button a couple times, like, no way. Yeah. And then I did this as an experiment with my kids. I was making them run up down the street from my house. And they're going, what is wrong with you, Dad? Really? And then they get down and
You're showing them science.
Yeah. And they get real science. Yeah. But they get so far away that they're like, oh, there's no way this is going to work. And then they hit the button and they go, oh my God. You can hear them screaming like 200 feet away. Right. And so at that point, like, I'm starting to put all this stuff together. That was my son's friend, Colin. I was trying to explain that to, but he was the one running back and forth. It was kind of funny because they were like all out of breath, but it's legit. Like that's how your brain works. And that's like our biofield now is a major part of the AI language, right? The AI language. That's where I really wanted. If I had to steer everything, I would say that's the first part of all of this is that, we know the language of frequency automatically. A mother hears a baby for the first time, and that's an easily identifiable thing among other babies. Like that's
but there's a response in the body,
right? Too. They know, yeah. So that resonant relationship, but it becomes something that is now attached to consciousness. I mean, whatever. But that antenna knows the difference. So she would know that between that and her husband's grunt, right? So AI knows that now. So AI knows that's a baby within the first 3 hertz that comes out of that baby's mouth in that screen. Like this is what they have trained AI to learn the language of frequency in all of those different forms that you mentioned before. And like, I think it's back in the 80s. If you take 4 stones and you were to drop those 4 stones into a still puddle at the same time, it's one dimensional. It'll create waves, and some will cancel others out. It will generate new waves, and so on, right? So you drop the 4 pebbles, they're evenly spaced, right? Symmetrically. Well, now if I put a leaf over in that pond, sorry.
That's okay. You can bash whatever you want. Yeah.
If I put a leaf and it's, cupped and it's floating on the surface of that pond, those waves can triangulate what is the shape of that leaf and how do I identify what that is based on the outer surface that is in contact with that plane at the edge of the water, right? At the surface of the water. So that's like an old test. They taught AI that a long time ago.
And this is not crazy now, because there's articles coming out where they're saying that your Wi-Fi router can now act as a surveillance system in your home.
And that's backscatter technology. That's the really sophisticated stuff. That's the measurement of the wavelengths of the electrons that travel through your house.
So this is all. So the core of all this, and I kind of want to keep the conversation here because it is esoteric, but it's also rooted in objective reality.
It's the language they've always understood was there.
Yeah.
So they used to protect anything about energy, frequency, and vibration. Like they protect nuclear launch codes now, like the monarchies, the kingships, and all that stuff. You want to start talking about really crazy stuff.
And this is all Tesla stuff too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're saying the kings. I cut you off. The kings.
So the kings and queens, right? And so we don't understand the method of the body to start. You know what the caduceus is, right? Like
I know that the lead singer of Tool has a wine called that. That's all I know.
So caduceus is the merger between the light and so the fire and ice, or the light and the dark, and it is in ancient myth in Greek. It's Asclepius is the son of Hermes Trismegistus, right? So in the Greek age, Hermes Trismegistus is the reincarnation of Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, right? And he has a son named Asclepius. And Asclepius has this staff, and he's called the healer. This is the 13th zodiac in the 13-month cycle that previous to Rome, when they changed it to 12.
Yeah, when they changed all the months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that blew my mind too. But that's another rabbit hole.
Yeah,
so yeah, right. Just for everybody that knows, there might have been 13 months in the calendar.
No, definitely was. I had the 13th was called Dies, DS, right? The end of the sun for 3 days, the DIES. We say when somebody dies, that's them returning to the heavens, like back then. So anyway, Asclepius becomes so proficient as a healer that he starts to raise people from the dead, and Zeus freaks out, says, "What the hell are you doing?" And the story of Caduceus, Zeus sends him off to the stars. And then we had the conversation about the stars. It's just like, wow. Right? Yeah. So when you start looking at the ancient myths like that, now all of them start to make sense, right? The Emerald Tablets of Thoth and Jesus, I am the light, I am the way, and all of it, right? But so as frequency is concerned, what the ancient Egyptians had, they would wear a gold crown. Gold is the most highly conductive material we have. And on it would be what was called the uraeus. There was a doctor back in the 30s and 40s, last name Stone, that had energy healing, or polarity therapy is what he calls the string of books, the line of books. I've got one, and it shows that in your body there is a specific, so this is what they tie into when you go for acupuncture.
Okay.
Right? If they want to reroute the pain, they'll just take that electrical signal and run it around the place that's giving you pain, right? Through a different network of the nerve system, right? And what, where was I at right there? Right, just previous?
The guy who got the book. The 30s. You were talking about what they wear on their, the gold.
All right. So we wear a gold wedding band on our left finger because the ancient Egyptians, Cleopatra had a gold serpent on her left arm. That's your uptake. Like, if people are starting to talk about grounding and earthing now and how important that is, well, what they don't understand is there's energy also from above. And as this works this way, the brain is always picking up static electricity. Remind me about the envelope of your household.
Okay.
This is where our cancer began. Yes, there's a market on our health. Not anymore. There was. That's what's dying right now through COVID. But so the kings and queens and pharaohs would wear this gold band on their head, and on the left side would be the serpent uraeus, which was a cobra with the flared open hood. And on the right side would be the condor from the heavens above, right? So the serpent was the fire serpent in the body. So caduceus is the paramedic sign that you see.
Yeah. Right? It's like it's always in like doctor's offices or whatever. It's like the staff with the snake, and then it also looks like DNA, which is interesting. But,
So the spiral, that's did you ever see the Flower of Life? Flower of Life is a bunch of interlacing circles.
I've probably seen this. Yes.
Central one, like they say that, so that's the one thing that nobody, I found that probably 2 years ago, and because I was drawing it. I wish that I had a better way to talk about this, but basically how cells start to couple and everything after birth, that spiral is inherent in there. Nobody ever talks about how the spiral moves through all these circles in that design. The Flower of Life, you got to look up the image, and then you'll put all these different things together. The Vesica Pisces is important, the seed of life. Then there's the Flower of Life. There's a few different things that come out of the image overall. But anyway, so this caduceus thing, that interlacing interactivity in all things, the things that. So it's positive energy, negative energy, and then how both of those work in conjunction with each other. That's the father, the mother, the child, or in later times after They have taken over spiritual technology from Egypt, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the Spirit. So it was this divine feminine idea and all that stuff previous to the Christianity that we know now. But in that shape, what they're talking about is the energy flow upward. That comes from the left side of the body, and the downward flow is on the right side of the body. Your heart is literally a vortex. Have you seen any of this stuff?
I've seen them unroll a heart. It is a vortex.
Definitely.
It's not what they show in the Indiana Jones movies.
So what's your heart for?
I don't know.
This is where it gets really cool. Your heart is literally, you've heard of restructuring water?
Yes.
Okay, so restructuring water.
Let's explain this real quick. Yeah. So what is restructuring water? To structure water,
you just basically have to reharmonize it, and it happens naturally in that spiral process.
In a vortex.
Yeah.
For those who think that this is crazy, they sell the water bottles on Amazon that have the little vortex fan at the bottom of them.
Little glass carafe. Little glass carafe. That I have one.
Okay.
But I was fascinated.
And it goes back to its original intention, right? It goes back to its original shape. I might be wrong about that.
No, with the
molecules.
Yeah, the Emoto stuff. So your body is mostly composed of water. And again, this is all intertwined. Like it's the vibration and frequency, the water and the way that it is reactive, specifically to vibration. The Emoto, like I think you brought that up to me. Dr. Yusura Emoto did the rice experiment. You didn't bring that. Maybe that was somebody else I was talking to, but he did a rice experiment where he would take water from different locations and he would put it into 3 different jars of rice, and he would label one love, one I hate you, and the other one no label at all. And he would put them at the bottom of his stairs where his family ran down the steps all the time. And he would tell his kids to walk up and say, I love you. You're my favorite thing. I can't wait to open you or drink, But he did this in rice. So he put the water in with rice. The ones that, the jars that the children said, I love you to, turned out to be this like fine aromatic scent, right? Like fermentation or whatever. Yeah. The next one, I hate you, turned black within like 2 days, all the rice.
Yeah.
And then the one that nobody spoke to at all ended up being more rotten than the one that they said they hated. So there, by no interaction at all, it just went off and died.
Yeah.
And so having some type of interaction, like this is how, it's human emotion, right? You Stockholm syndrome, right? I'm going to love my captors,
yeah.
Right? But the rice is that, right? I'm the captive, I'm the captive in the jar, and they're treating me this way and nothing at all. You just die.
And people, and like, it sounds crazy, but like, they would always tell you to sing to your plants, be nice to your plants.
Yeah.
And like that, when I was growing up, that's what they would say. And like, we never thought critically about why that would work.
Yeah.
Like why that would have a positive or a negative effect on organic life.
Yeah. So, the feeling, and it wasn't just measured in vibration or frequency, but also the intent.
Yes.
That's what he proved behind it, was that when I love you, or when I hate you, or when I don't even think about you at all, has everything to do with how we receive other people,
Right.
And this is like far beyond spiritual understanding of things, right? It's just inherent in the way that we behave naturally.
I think this is more valuable than Freud, just to understand that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to think, all right, well, your brain is pure water, and what have they been doing for you? So my mom, this happened to my mom. She was deficient or not deficient, but high blood pressure stuff, right? She was having these problems with high blood pressure since she's 30 years old. She kept saying, the doctor said that my blood pressure is bad. It's bad. So what the goal to be achieved here by the medical establishment as designed, which is a really dirty thing. If you go back to the flex,
it's dark. It's real dark.
Yeah. The Flexner report stuff. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So, she's telling me like, my blood pressure is really off, Shane. And I'm like, Mom, stop taking that shit. I started reading a whole bunch of stuff, like just listen to me here. And, so there's a cholesterol named myelin in your brain.
Yes.
And that myelin is absolutely crucial to the way that neurons fire in the mind. And, when you take the blood pressure medications, it kills that, and it keeps the blood pressure up high. right? But not only that, now it's destroying the ability of the brain to function as it's supposed to, right? Like fluoride is in my toothpaste. Why?
Right.
You know, that's another deep dive, like fluoride. All right. Well, cognition, it inhibits the expansion of a child's developing mind up to 12 years old. And I think the number was like 30 or 40%. So they did a test. I think it was in San Diego. They fought against the government about it during the 70s when they just started pushing it into public drinking water and all that. Well, they started.
Now, just so everybody knows, fluoride, when it first became a thing, was an industrial byproduct.
It's shit.
Yeah.
It's literally shit. And it's so, and this is where I can basically go there. So during the developmental stages of a preteen, child, 30 to 40% of their cognition or IQ is lost in the children that were fluoridated. And 30 to 40%.
That's massive.
Right. Out of 100% of the kids, right?
Yeah.
30 to 40% of the children that were fluoridated.
Yes.
So that's enormous. And then the kids that were non-fluoridated, obviously no detriment, So I started digging into that one. I had really bad problems with an upper GI issue when I was, 20 to 30 years old somewhere. I hung drywall for a living. I did all these places up here on the mountain, Cinemark and whatnot. But I used to get the worst heartburn and I couldn't ever figure it out. And they're going, it's a GI problem. And, we'll give you this medication and that medication. And it all made it worse. Right. And then all my friends are recommending take this or take that. And I'm like, I'm just not taking anything, man. I'd rather die than the pain I would have. Like I could drink one beer and I would be in the most terrible
agony.
Pain. Yeah. Like, on top of that, what else? Like, I could smell a tomato and the acid from the tomato would make my stomach curdle. Like it was the most terrible time of my life. I couldn't eat anything. So they tell me, you need a bland diet and all this stuff. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. So this is just previous to my first back surgery. Mm-hmm. This is where this is going to blow your mind. This one will blow your mind. So it's previous to and like I said, like through my life, I attach a dot and somewhere down the road, that dot is going to right.
Intersect.
This is one of those things. So now, I have this pain in my stomach every day. And what I did every day, because it's dry, it's dusty, you got drywall dust and fiberglass dust flying all over you around all the time. And I get home every day and I'm like, I would just slam 3 glasses of tap water right out of the gate, and, it would make me feel all right for a little while. And, it washes all the dust down and everything. Well, you start learning that the places that fluoridate the water, it's like a mandated thing through the water cleansing. And, also chlorine is extremely disruptive to that harmonious balanced water is supposed to.
Yeah. And for those who don't realize they killed people in World War I with chlorine gas.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was, and if you listen, there's this guy named Dan Harmon. He does hardcore history, and he does these huge podcasts about it. And I was listening to one where he described the letters that the people wrote home from World War I about how people died with chlorine gas, and it is like brutal. 7th level of hell shit that he describes. Yeah, it sounds like one of the worst ways to die.
And this is that bigger network, man. Yeah. Like it's, whatever we want to call that.
So like if that can do that to fucking guys in World War I, why are we putting it in our fucking water?
Same thing with fluoride. So, fluoride was actually found because of bauxite. They wanted to take bauxite. That was the new alloy that Germany came up with. So bauxite is a mineral that is inherent in the process of extruded aluminum to make extruded aluminum. So the way that they would separate the bauxite, which was pure aluminum from the ore, was a chemical process, and they had to use a fertilizer to do that. So they would take like all kinds of animal fertilizer and everything. So you're talking about industrial fertilizer or industrial waste, right? That's what they're doing with all these sewage treatment plants and everything.
I read they couldn't find a way to get rid of the fluoride, so they just introduced it into our water.
The water, so that you become the filter for, right? So they're saving the money on.
How is that not a crime against humanity?
Right, yeah, in our own government, right?
Yeah.
So, but they also did that back in Germany in World War II. So that was literally, fluoride is what they gave to all the people that were in the camps, which were not all Jews, like right. the whole story goes, But so you got to think, if you look at all those images of those people in the camps, like they're all thin and bony and everything, but none of them have a look of conscious awareness on their face at all Like they don't know where they're at.
Zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the calcification of the central part of all of your consciousness is your pineal gland now becomes calcified. So we're talking about energy frequency.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
It was my first tattoo. I had no idea.
The Eye of Ra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. I know this whole story behind that. That's the eye that Ra took Horus out to go and find his children, and it came back, and then it realized Ra grew another eye, and so that eye ended up moving into the brain, so that would make room for the new eye to come back in now, right?
So what's the story behind the history?
The aluminum thing is mind blowing, right? So they use the fertilizer. That's so they're giving shit right now to a company to manufacture aluminum. This goes into all the anti-gravity material stuff that they're doing at the time. Victor Schauberger is building all these anti-gravity.
The Bell.
The Bell, yeah,
the Nazi Bell,
the spaceship,
yeah,
not the Bell, yeah. This is an anti-gravity machine. It looks kind of like a bell, but the scientist behind that is Victor Schauberger, and he's always talking about vortex energy. Like we wouldn't have.
Weren't they spinning mercury?
Mercury had something to do with it because of its anti-gravitational properties.
Right. Just so people don't think that you're crazy, yeah. It's entirely possible that. Whether it's UFOs, ancient civilizations, interdimensional beings, whatever that is,
yeah,
they're talking about that openly, whether it's a psyop or not. But I believe that technology exists. I believe that it all has to do with frequencies.
Anti-gravity. You can look these up on YouTube. There are guys that are regular old people like me doing experiments in their garage where they would use a specific level of electrical potential to levitate a bar of aluminum, right? And why would that happen is because the aluminum is non-magnetic. What do they build satellites out of? Aluminum.
Right.
So this goes into the whole flat earth thing and all of that stuff, right? Like why, what are satellites if they're, they use a propulsion system to get them up there into the atmosphere, right? But how do they stay and levitate? That's through the process of ionization. So driving electrons out of that material is what keeps them afloat and they become lighter, right? So by the periodic table, the electron count is what determines the overall density of the material. So if I drive the electrons out of it, that material would, by nature, become lighter.
And you're not saying theoretical things. You're saying practical things. You're saying things that are provable.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes, when you think of frequencies, electrons, neutrons, protons, these you're describing behaviors that are possible.
For sure. Yeah. It's that, but
and provable.
Well, here's the real poison now, right? The real poison in our society these days, so this is how they work through everything. Your education is what is available to you. It's not what you go out and seek, right?
It's just what's given to you. It's the food that you're fed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the only option for you.
Yes.
It's like COVID. No matter what it is that you're looking for, the government will block and bar and ban and, overprice or whatever, all of these other different things, right? And this is how we're steered into the markets that we go into, what kind of siding am I going to put on my house? Well, that wood is really expensive. Oh, let's put vinyl on there, right?
Right.
So now that it's a critical thing for that caduceus inside of your body to interact so that the 7 chakras can, have that energy transfer through the body as it's designed to, you need to be grounded. But you're also gathering that static potential from above, the cosmic energy of the stars, the sun, or whatever. That ionization needs to enter the crown. And I was talking about the kings and queens where we stopped.
Yes.
But so that transfer of electrical energy has to happen inside the body. It has to happen to each individual cell that runs through the vortex to become recharged. So when the cell dies,
when the blood cells go through the heart, that's what's happening.
They're becoming recharged electrically. Yeah. Then they cycle up to the brain, go straight from the heart, straight up to the brain. Why is it going to the brain? To gather the ionized positive charge. Well, then that becomes depleted. It runs back down through the cycle and it gets grounded off. So that static potential runs through the body. But the blood, the cells itself is what carries the whole entire blood system throughout the body. Right?
So again, and a lot of this is going to be having me to remind people that you're not a crazy person.
Yeah.
Right. So again, if we were in China, India, the Philippines, any of those places, the chakras, the energy, all that stuff would not be a strange concept to grasp. The Eastern medicine totally understands all this.
For sure. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The yin and the yang, it's the energy that is ever present and its absence. That's the best way to describe all
the energy that's ever present in its absence.
And its absence. So it's, I'm forceful. Just because I move my hand through the air doesn't mean there's not air there. Right.
Right.
So it's that which is forceful and that which is receptive to all things, so that goes into the father, mother, child thing, Isis and Ra, the sun, these kinds of concepts come from those languages previous to ours, and all of that is esoteric stuff, like the sun raises. Why do they say that? It's Ra meets Isis, and then Horus is born. So the sun raises, right?
Okay.
And then the sun sets. So there's an eternal battle between Horus and Set. Set comes back in the nighttime at dusk. He wins that battle every day. You got to look the eternal battle up of Horus and Set. So Horus wins that every morning at the dawn, right? So the sun sets and the sun raises. All that's based off of Egyptian stuff. When we say Thoth, the pronunciation of the god of wisdom, right? So they were about absolute spirituality in ancient Egypt previous to the takeover of the Hyksos, the Persians or Greeks or whatever. What was my point there? What did I just say right before that?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Well, that's why it's like the things that thought.
The word thought. So everything they've done from Egypt forward, so Egypt was about the
spirituality,
right? Yeah. Jesus, as a Gnostic Essene, learned that there is no way to God but through me, right? He's not saying he's not
saying me, Jesus.
He's saying through me, right? And he's saying this is the way that he's spoken all these things, but he learned in the Library of Alexandria. All these different guys coming out of that at that time, Pythagoras and Aristotle and whoever. Now you had the greedy guys that said, all right, well, we can keep the spiritual technology for ourselves. Everybody else will be serving us, right? And that's how royalty kept its grip over the different populations at the time.
Yeah, for people who think that's a strange concept, just look at the world today. It's the corporations, the oligarchs, it's the people who control information.
The caduceus at the hospital, right? The caduceus at the hospital. It's a reverse. They're killing you.
Right.
They're taking you in to make you a customer for life, right? With diabetes, that's another one. That's electrically induced diabetes. Electricity does that. It's not sugar that does that. That's a mutation of the functional cells of the pancreas, where the pancreas will no longer start to, create its own. Oh man, I just said it, didn't I? Insulin, right? Yeah. So the insulin is now synthetic insulin is required. Am I in the right place?
No, I'm just trying to get it. If it's under your chin, I can't hear you as well.
So the synthetic insulin, once you start to introduce it to the body, you become dependent on it. And the more you use, like steroids, right? Like your balls won't produce any testosterone if you're using steroids, right? So the more insulin you take now, the less your own pancreas will create, right?
Right.
And so the breakdown of sugars in your body, which aren't supposed to be there anyway, out of a natural state like fruits or whatever. Why do they
processed sugar?
Yeah, processed sugar stuff. It's all big deal. Now we say the word thought, right? That's the god of wisdom. Thoth was his name. So all this stuff in the reverse, like the medical system is not there to heal you. It's there to make a customer out of you, and that's another one that's also an unknown thing. So we're, as we talk about the whole fluoride thing, anyway, I go in and I take I'm just going to hold on. Yeah. It was vibrating on there. I go in and I take, sorry, Shane. That's all right.
This is going to be great to clip. This moment, where I'm trying to fix your fucking. All right, keep going.
So now, when you get to you're into this fluoride thing, you're into this reversal of what we call healthy, or the way that things are supposed to be. The entire religious structure was always built about, building your brain in a way to. So there's a great book about this called the Secret History of Our World by a guy named Mark Booth, and he describes it's the age of materialism where mankind The Phoenicians switch our alphabet. We write from left to right. The Jewish write from right to left. The Roman Latins, everything that they would say is like, for me to say I'm going to the store, they would say to the store I will go in their language, yes. Right? So this reversal is not only about the feminine in your body. The feminine is more about why you think of things more spiritually. So the feminine side of the brain and the masculine side of the brain and the gnosis, the bringing together of both of those things is what they're trying to break. That's the spiritual center of your body, your whole brain working together. I think I was telling you, I was dyslexic when I was a kid. Like all these different things didn't make sense. I was also
you tell me that,
auditioned for the GATE program. I was supposed to be like the special gifted students thing or whatever back in the 80s. That was a real big thing. But they wouldn't let me in because my behavior was too erratic. Well, who knew that the fluorescent light bulbs above me were
fucking with you? Right.
So, but anyway, like now, you go into the fluoride thing and, that's a major component in the way that our cognition functions to start in developmental stages. I took 2 fluoride tablets when I was a kid. I used to be able to do long form division. Did I tell you this?
No.
I used to be able to do long form division. It'd be like 455 divided by 23. I would do it in my head, leveraged off of the number 9 up until 3rd grade. And so I was learning that in 3rd grade, and that's what ended up taking me to the school thing. They wanted to test me for this stuff. So now the teacher's just getting pissed at me. You can't do it that way. Calls my mom in and says, "Hey,
Common Core."
Yeah, like new now, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to do the whole thing in my head and write the answer down. She kept saying, you can't do it that way. You have to go through this process we want you to go through, right? And this is how I associated all this stuff with the Phoenicians changing the direction that we think in, right? So now the Phoenicians are a merchant tribe. That's the big network between Persia and Rome and Egypt, right? But they're also the people that have controlled every major civilization throughout all time by bleeding themselves into that population as we're the poor, persecuted, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
All of that, as that tribe, they have reversed the way that our brains work. Have you ever seen the relief of Enlil, where he's holding a pine cone and he's holding a purse in the other hand?
Yes.
Okay. So what that is
it's also that purse is found all over the world.
Yeah.
In different cultures and civilizations.
It was one body of land at one time. Okay. Which I can make sense. I just did that in a video I made yesterday, but It was all one body of land. The geological specimens from like New Mexico and stuff match exactly to those over in Western Africa or Northern Europe, some of them, right? So how the rocks formed and everything, and the mountains came together, same types of formations there as over there. So it was all one body of water at one time.
Or it was a global
catastrophe.
Civilization.
Right. Yeah. Well, which would be much more difficult to navigate back then. I mean, I guess, right. But I'll go into that.
All right. So I want to keep you on frequency.
Yeah. So the frequency thing, and now the to inhibit the mind's ability to be the receiver or the antenna for all of these different kinds of frequencies. To inhibit that, you would have to calcify the pineal gland. It's a major thing, right? That's what fluoride does. So to damage that is now removing your brain's ability to fight or flight kind of stuff.
So let me ask you about the pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
So they say that there's a calcification of it.
All right. So it's supposed to be soft and spongy so that it can record vibration, feel it, right? Everything you experience is through light vibration.
So that's not a crazy concept because your ears work that way too.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you understand what side is up.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not crazy.
Yeah.
It's not crazy to think that there's something going on. Like you can create. The human body has like these crystals in your inner ear. Cilia?
Yes. The hair? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crystal.
Well, I think there's a crystal in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So the crystals themselves are inside the pineal gland. The cilia is a fiber that, so they're all antennas. Like, so when you smell, cilia is cone shaped, right? It's very thin on the end, the hairs, and you can smell the vibration of pheromones. The pheromones vibrate at a specific frequency. So when I smell steak dinner, guess what? That is all right. So to explain that better now, if we go further from, let's just say the pheromones from a flower, right? How does a bee know where the flowers are at all the time? It just follows the vibrations, right? How do birds navigate across the world? Through vibrations in their head, right? But there's also so this pheromone thing, if you're talking about frequency, pheromones, did you see anything within the last 10 years about the ash, the hickory, and some other type of tree? I can't remember, but all of those trees dying due to some weird disease, right? So they kept saying it was such bullshit they would put out. Did you see anything about the songbirds?
No.
During COVID?
No.
Songbirds are dying. Their eyes are frosting up with this shit, right? Like their eyes would frost up and you're saying, stop feeding them food from the pet stores. The pet stores are contaminated, It was a lie. So this was happening through COVID. Same thing. What was also happening, all of those towers kept going up.
The 5G towers.
5G towers kept going up.
5G stands for fifth generation. Yeah, it doesn't mean shit other than fifth generation.
Have me run you through that whole thing first through fifth. And the detriment to physiology, but
now Robert Kennedy's talked about this. Robert Kennedy's talked about the dangers of 5G technology.
I'm going to forget this tree thing. I have to do this.
Sorry.
So the pheromones are so important because of, you write that down. But the pheromones are so important because of the vibration that they put out. Everything, like on the Clodney plate,
how you're attracted
specific
to it.
radiant value to it, right? And so the pheromones, like when you go out and you cut your grass, you smell that stinky grass, right? So what does a cow do when it goes to eat? It'll eat a couple bites right here. It'll move 10 steps away and eat over there over and over again. So that's the grass. There's a documentary on this called Smart or Intelligent Trees. You got to look that documentary up. There's a network of, the plants speak to each other electrically, underground, above ground, mother trees will actually feed their own children, like their own offspring. It's crazy video, but you got to watch that.
I believe that because I looked into that for mycelium.
That's the network that it all travels by. So that's the brain of the earth between the trees, right?
Yes.
And so again, if the trees are cilia on the skin of the earth, right?
Yeah.
Right. We have hair on our arms. That's the earth feeling what's happening around, right? That's that connective tissue that intertwines all things, but going into the esoteric, spiritually minded kind of thought, right?
Yeah.
So the pheromones, anyway, in the trees they kept blaming this tree die-off on, it was called a boreworm. And what the boreworm does is it climbs up underneath the bark of the tree. There's a membrane that binds the bark to the trunk of the tree, and they feed off of that. Well, now these trees start dying like crazy. A healthy tree would put off a pheromone that wards off those boreworms, right? Just like the grass puts out a signal to the other roots of grass and says, hey, we're getting eaten. Put that stench off so the thing will go away. It leaves a bitter taste in their mouth, and now the cow goes somewhere else, right?
Yes.
And so the same thing happens with the trees. So now that pheromone is not there, the boreworms are eating away and doing whatever they want. The trees start dying. Well, that's the mutation of the water in the cells cymatically through impure vibrations that are disharmonious to the structure or the nature of that tree or its cells. Same thing with the grass, same thing inside of your body, same thing with your pancreas, right?
Okay.
So same thing with your pancreas creating insulin.
Right.
It's a mutation of the water in the cell. The mitochondria is the same. It all behaves the same way. The only difference is the photosynthesis stuff. So the water in the cells is always there. That's not 90% of the cell. What they did with graphene, like this going into, they took the hydrogel is the bonding agent. That's a bonding agent. So it's like the Sensodyne or whatever, that stuff that they take for the dentures to stick the teeth, right? So that's the bonding agent for graphene to stick on the inside of the cell so that it can become a wireless node and determine the overall cell or gene expression of that cell that is now an antenna on a network of wireless technology. This is what all of the mRNA stuff was about. It was literally graphene. mRNA meant graphene, a wireless node of energy.
So explain to me what graphene is.
Graphene is, so they ionize it.
So where does it come from? What is it?
Graphite. So it's very inexpensive.
Which is also the same shit that they put on nuclear.
Pencils.
Yeah. Pencils.
So it's a carbon-based atom, and I think is it
natural?
Somewhat, yeah, but it's the properties that they're after more than anything. So they can be modified and changed with different types of.
Because I know people are going to say that this is bullshit. The next thing, if we're going to get into this, but I just want to give context.
Going into the vaccine stuff, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's very interesting that they wouldn't let anybody look into the vials to see what they were, you know. Right. And I'm not. And I'm not deep. I'm not knowledgeable enough or smart enough to say yes or no to whatever you're saying.
Okay. Yeah.
But the problem is that like I'm leaning towards a lot of it being right. Yeah. You know, so the only thing I'm really sure of is that like I'm leaning towards the possibilities of these things being absolutely really close to being true or being totally true.
Well, I mean, all right. So I have a network of friends on Facebook that have been screaming this stuff. And we were talking about the internet suppression.
And I've heard it from the beginning. I've heard the graphene stuff before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it does is it harnesses frequency, but it can be programmed to emit a specific frequency through, in the body, that would be the photochemical effect through graphene on your car would be the photoelectric effect. It has to do with electrons being driven out of mass. So what these are is like a miniature solar panel. They gather some form of energy. It doesn't have to be the sun. All right. So chemtrails, we can go into that one, right?
I mean, nothing's off the table now.
All right. So
I wanted to keep it on frequencies, but if we're going to go balls to the wall,
it literally all.
Because I think it all boils back to frequencies.
It's the same. It's the entire thing is the same subject. The entire thing, like all right. So the smart cities is where I didn't bring up. The smart cities are the AI infrastructure, critical infrastructure.
The 15-minute cities, shit like that.
15-minute cities, right? Yeah. Fully autonomous, isolate, learn.
No cars, can't drive.
Well, that's
carbon tax.
Small part of it, right? That's what it's going to end up being eventually, right? But now they're in the process of getting it built. So that's supposed to have the Agenda 2030 stuff. But everybody's wondering, like, oh, well, wow, they're really talking about. Chemtrails were never conspiracy theories. Like they're still conspiracy theories. You Google what is a chemtrail. That's a widely, not widely accepted, debunked, blah, 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 bullshit, right? Well, look up stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI, or solar radiation management. Bill Gates, we could block the sun out and, that'll stop global warming,
right.
And they're effectively doing that. But what they're doing is harnessing the energy. All right. So all of this energy that we would, real quick, just so you have an idea of what I mean by this, we are on a gigantic Chladni plate.
Okay.
We are the grains of sand dancing around to the frequencies they're hitting us with.
Right.
Okay. So now that you take this idea of chemtrails are real, if you look into Exxon and Shell Corporation, they are the only two companies that manufacture carbon capture jet fuels. Carbon capture jet fuels are used commercially across the board. So people will go, all right, well, it's kind of funny that FedEx and UPS and United Airlines are all in on the conspiracy to poison the population. It is kind of funny. So you have to see the bigger system above it. And
now Robert Kennedy said this a couple months ago.
The fuel?
He said about the fuel, because somebody was asking, because everyone thinks that like somebody's up there with a biplane just letting the fire extinguisher out.
There's two tiers.
Okay.
So there's two tiers.
Because Robert Kennedy said, because somebody asked him, I think it was on Dr. Phil, and he goes, it's in the airplane fuel. That's what that's where it is.
For sure. So the program is actually started by Yale University. They have a geoengineering program. Mm-hmm. So to change the weather, like we're going through this shit with all the snow or what, it's miserable, right?
Yeah.
Across the country.
Yeah.
So they've been able to do this stuff back since the 30s and 40s. That was like Operation Popeye. And you know what one that was the one for Vietnam. But previous to that, in St. Louis, there was an Operation LAC. They were putting out radioactive isotopes over the population. It was primarily a black population, but most of the people ended up getting cancer and whatever.
It's really interesting how they constantly did it to the black populations.
Yeah. Well, you start talking about they had some STDs they started.
That was
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too. And they
Tuskegee experiments.
It was what was the STD?
Chlamydia, or was it chlamydia, or
I forget. No, it was oh shit. Keep going. I'll think about it.
But this is how terrible these fuckers are, right? It's our own government allowing this stuff to be done to us indirectly.
Well, they're doing it on the populations that can't say shit because no one will believe them.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like Prince talked about this before he died. Prince would talk. He's like, "Do you ever notice that the planes go over and all of a sudden the whole neighborhood's pissed off about something?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And so that, he that was a very valid effect. But if, again, like I didn't pick up any of this stuff till like I started playing guitar and stuff. And I was so right side strong. I would never be able to throw a football with my left hand, like my whole life. And I started playing guitar and I started noticing that like there was this weird matrix of activity going on in my brain. Like I'd always be thinking about how things work. And I started leaving this physical mind that I had. So through artistic expression and behavior, you start to think more dynamically, right? Like now,
absolutely,
yeah, for sure. So it's a critical part.
That's why the Chinese kid is a math genius and a fucking concert pianist at the same time.
Yeah, being able to tie,
Yes.
So I'm getting there. Like I'm getting there because like I understand all these different things and how they are interrelated, and through that thing I said, like attaching a dot and then, 20 years goes by, like, oh, I remember this happened. Oh man, I never finished the fucking fluoride thing. See, I told you I'm so bad with this.
But it's okay. It's okay. Because like just fluoride could be a 4-hour conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like the history of it, where it came from, why they're using it, why they won't take it out, why they think it's good, the Dentistry Association, the hospitals, the fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's a hydra. Like you're right. Like it's all connected.
For me to finish, what was the last thing I just said previous?
We were talking about graphene.
All right, so we'll go back to the graphene thing, but with fluoride, the end of that whole thing was I found out, I started reading about a bacteria that was called H. pylori bacter. So I want to finish that just for anybody that's listening.
Oh, so you're going home drinking the 3 glasses of water.
3 glasses of water every day. I stopped doing the tap water thing. It's coming out on like different shows or documentaries. I always like documentaries. Tap water is bad, natural water, blah, 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 or clean, purified, filtered water that takes the nutrients out and all of the minerals that are necessary for the photochemical process of the natural physiology in your body to be there. We're all drinking out of this plastic bottle of water. It's shit water that's dead, right?
Yeah.
So I start drinking all that anyway, but the bacteria is not there anymore. This H. pylori bacter, I go in for the back surgery and I stopped drinking tap water after that. I never had another stomach problem after that, but they gave me some kind of antibiotic, and that antibiotic
kills your gut biome.
Killed the stuff that was in it, right? So that H. pylori bacter, it's in like over 50% of the world population. And guess what it's caused by? Shit germs.
Poo germs.
Poo. Okay. So the creation of aluminum uses fertilizer. They take the byproduct, they put the byproduct into the public drinking water. I end up with poo germs in my stomach. How? I wash my hands when I go to the bathroom. I don't eat turds like Snickers bars. Where'd it come from, right?
Yeah.
So think about that, right? So I stopped drinking the tap water, never had another problem with my stomach again.
I was watching, what was I just thinking about? It's like the fact that like antibiotics kill your gut biome is such a fucking crazy thing, and it takes months, if not years, for that to come back. What's it called? The bifidobacteria?
Yeah.
I think it's bifidobacteria.
Bifida something. Yeah, you're right. Yep. But that's what they started. So that's also where all of the Casper or what the hell they call the gene editing,
CRISPR.
CRISPR, yeah.
Yeah.
So the CRISPR technology, like I said Cas because the Cas9, there's this process in your DNA. It's called a Cas9 protein. That was what they were modifying. So they were stopping the Cas9 protein from snipping your mitochondria. If it was detrimental DNA in the body, it would just snip that DNA. And that DNA was, that's what they stopped was the effects of the Cas9 protein from doing that, so that people wouldn't, this DNA that they're introducing to the body through COVID, through this injection.
You're convinced that they're doing that?
There's paper upon paper. So the patent for the COVID vaccines that was out in 2015.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So how did they know there was going to be a COVID?
Do you think that that whole thing didn't move forward? Because I'm convinced that the first 2 shots were placebos. Because I didn't think they had I didn't think they had enough to manufacture all of that. And I think that they started to. I mean, it's a dark subject.
Yeah,
it's a very dark, terrifying subject potentially some sort of unnatural, unhealthy product was forced into people, because we live in this world where that is people who live in third world countries and know about oppression are that makes sense.
Yeah.
But people in America are they would never do that. Why would anybody do that?
So I have a buddy, he's a biochemist from, he's got a PhD from Cornell, really, really super smart guy. He spent 10 years over in China. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me, he tells me about everything that's going on over there, what happened through COVID. I would bring up all this stuff. He's so he told me typically he wouldn't have a conversation with any normal person. He's like, dude, you're on the spectrum. He's one of the guys that said, make sure you keep reading this stuff. He's a really smart guy. And I'm up there somewhere, right? But I just don't have any formal education. So, but he's telling me, he's China, they're laughing at the entire United States now. And I'm like, why? He's like, because everybody watches the news. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, they know that all of it is propaganda. They laugh at Americans for watching the news, for getting their information, and that's just they know, right? They know communism inside out. He would explain the culture over there. It's a big, he's got, his daughter is half Chinese. From over there as well. She just moved here. And then they moved down to Arizona now, but he was my neighbor for a little while. But he's explained the whole thing about, through 5G, what they were doing, that these people were just dropping like flies, which, wasn't, as we saw the propaganda on the news, it was all. So when we see propaganda about China, I mean, you might as well just take the H and the N out of it. It's our own fucking CIA, government, right? It's our own fucking government.
Yeah.
Since the CIA was created, that's a really interesting read. The 40s forward, that era forward, that's where everything changed in the United States.
The OSS turning into,
the UN, or the UN,
League of Nations, and the UN,
yeah. So when they changed all of that structure of how these different countries operate, now you got aliens popping up and anti-gravity vehicles being called alien vehicles.
Yeah.
The anti-gravity stuff comes from, so that's why I said all this stuff literally works into itself. But Victor Schauberger is the guy that sold all that technology to the United States. They had the V2 rocket and whatever over in Germany. Victor Schauberger sold all his technology to the United States.
It wasn't, what's his name? Who was the guy that was firing rockets over there, and then he became the head of NASA?
Oh yeah, that's Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
So what's the connection there between those two guys?
So Victor Schauberger was Hitler's top scientist. I just did a video on this yesterday on the Jesuit order. There's a structure and it's an esoteric one, but you've got to wonder to yourself, why is there the symbolism of the Knights Templar or the Templar cross on the Nabisco sign?
What?
Look at Nabisco.
I never even paid attention to that. Keep going.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, holy shit.
That's the Jesuit order. That's basically, so a Jesuit ran college. These are the guys that are the true military of the government, of the world though. Right. And it all stems out of,
that. On the corner?
Yeah.
No shit.
Roman Catholicism. So you're eating their poison, right? Like they're poisoning our food. They know that they are in that network.
Oh my God.
But it's
know. It's really there. That's so insane. I never even picked up on that.
There's so much. It's in so much. The 7 things on the shell thing for, gasoline, 7 spires, like that is basically the, so Lucifer, right? Lucifer at some point.
Wait, hold on. I know it seems like the most innocuous of topics right now, but like that just really messed with me. This, I don't know if the camera can see it, but like, or here, I'll go, maybe you can see it here, but it's up there right on the top.
Yeah. Right. So
that's a bitch.
It's these.
They'll probably say it came from something else, but like you can't deny that.
I wish. Is there a way to?
Not right now. The next one we'll have to do that to pull up images and shit and go through stuff.
Well, I mean, I could actually even draw things. I usually do this. Like I do Facebook Live videos with it, and I got to take a leak like so bad.
Yeah, we'll pause.
Can we?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll have a quick smoke.
Yes.
All right. Be back, folks.
Data centers.
Okay. How was your pee? Good.
Oh my God. My bladder was so angry.
I forgot to get you water.
4 minutes.
So one of the big things that, it seems like, look, there's politics is like a distraction for like the human experience. And it kind of like corrals us into these weird things, but it seems like the issue right now with data centers, and I wanted to hop into this because this was like, it's a hot topic right now. And I've had people on who have talked about data centers. I've had state reps come on. I've had
Jamie Walsh.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the man. He's the only guy that actually like took the time to have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me. He said, "You're ruining my fucking life." That's what he said.
Well, he's he's one of the most sincere people I've ever met.
Good man.
And he's a good man.
Yeah.
And I try to convey that to everybody I run into. It's like, you got to talk to Jamie Walsh. Like, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like I destroy his inner psyche sometimes by the shit that I say to him, but he's at least willing to listen. So I've had people on like Jamie who, sees, the problems. We experienced some stuff when we went to Ashburn, and, one of the things, and I want to talk to you about this because the biggest videos that you've had are the cloudbuster things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, like, when we were in Ashburn, and a couple of the people that lived there just said it to us as like an aside, like not even, it was like kind of like an off the cuff, like, oh yeah, and this happened too. And the thing that's
something I have.
I'm going to tell you what they said.
Yeah, I think I saw it. The little Asian lady, right?
Yeah, Vicky Wu. She's the best. She's the best. Yeah. She's a great lady. But some of the people that we talked to, they said since they put, and this is why I want to talk about frequencies. Mm-hmm. Since the data centers came in, it hasn't snowed there. They said that they can look at the radar, they see the storm coming, and then it seems to like go around. And you're a frequency guy.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I can think of that would do that is some sort of frequencies or amplification of frequencies or something that go into that go up into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And basically direct weather. Is that a crazy thought that I had? Because the moment they said that, I was like, you know how like people just say things and you put a dot on it?
Yeah.
And that one really blew my mind, where I was driving home with Jamie and I'm like, Jamie, like everything that they said, the one that really makes me curious and interested is the fact that they said it won't snow anymore, and they don't get the precipitation.
This was in like West Virginia or something.
Virginia.
Yeah.
And it's north of DC.
I watched that, by the way. Yeah.
The data center doc.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Thanks for the view.
Yeah. Hope it got you like 1/100th of a cent, But so as I watch, I did watch it. So I know Amy.
I didn't put that part in. I didn't put the it doesn't snow part in.
Oh, really?
I thought it was too much.
Well,
I thought people who would watch it would discount them because they said that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want people to discount them.
Like, so here's the bad part about me being on your show or anybody else's show. For me,
I don't think there's a downside, Shane.
Well, I literally feel through learning all these things that I did. I feel it like it is a billion times amplified, but fuck you, right? To this government, to the way that we've all been lied to about all of this different shit, right? Like, I have actually taken my time spiritually as a man, as a father, watching your son, terrified. Is my son going to die right now?
Yeah.
And that was a little fucking game to somebody sitting in an office making a joke about it, right? Mm-hmm. Dr. James Giordano has an entire line of videos that have been recorded of him doing presentations in front of NGOs and Navy admirals, Air Force people, talking about releasing nanoparticulates into the sky to create some type of biological event in a person, right? And
James, what's this guy's name?
James Giordano. He's a University of Maryland, I think, is bioethics committee or something. But he's like a top tier.
So it's like a real dude, and the material is out there for the public to view if they want.
This is 2014, 2015.
Okay,
this guy is literally telling them how to do the shit they did with COVID to our enemies. So this is how this would all come into play. So I affect key individuals. You got to hear this fucking arrogant little bastard of a guy. Like it's sickening to hear the shit that he's saying, because we're watching them doing this to us now, right?
Right.
So he says, I affect key individuals here, this one here, and that network, and you go after the alpha males, the people that are the bitchers, and I hit a hypochondriac. And what they're experiencing are the symptoms. They think they're sick. They think they're going to die. They think they've gotten this biological agent that I've just sprayed throughout the sky. Right? This is a real conversation this guy's having with government officials, Navy captains, and
and it's on YouTube.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm watching it, and I'm just like, this is probably 3 or 4 years ago. I posted that video probably 20 times, and I think out of all the times I ever posted the video, any video of that guy, out of all the times, probably one view. I have reels on my Facebook that show how many views of whatever. And
I've looked at them. It's immense. You have a lot of views on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's usually
and you're consistent.
Yeah. I mean, like 10 to 12,000 people or something like that. But I mean, most people don't have the bandwidth, and we're conditioned to be that way, but they don't have the bandwidth to pay attention more than 20 or 30 seconds. Right. And there's people around me, like I have friends that are in the military and stuff. Right. And they'll look at me like, you're fucking nuts, dude, you know? And to me, it's like, I wish that because who the fuck am I? I'm a carpenter.
So was Jesus.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't as good a carpenter as me, though. So,
the gauntlet is thrown.
So, but anyway, so it's the validation is a key part in all of this stuff, right? You like to feel validated in talking about these things the way that we do. That's a hard thing to gain from your local population, right? The people that grew up where
that crazy Shane might be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a bruiser. I was always fighting with people.
Well, yeah, you fought our state senator.
Yeah, right. It's I wasn't ever taken I was in a lot of trouble. I was in St. Michael's when I was a kid. I got a GED when I was at 16 years old, and I went right out into the workforce. If I needed to learn any kind of math principles in order to do the job that I had, I'd have to go on the internet and do that on my own, right? So I learned all these different things, picking up the guitar, right? But very adaptable to whatever it is that I have an interest in, And so I'm a Scorpio, and I'm extremely passionate on every level with everything I do. Once this hit and I saw the possibility of my son dying from some kind of, like, at that point, the red dawn hit me like, there's no winning this with the guns. There's no winning this with fist fights. There's no winning this with politics. The only way we win now is it's in your brain, right? And as I bring up Dr. James Giordano, he says the war, the 21st generation warfare,
the 21st century.
He says it's a battlefield of the mind,
Yeah, you've heard people talk this way before.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's pure psychotic.
It's what's it? Fifth generation warfare.
Yeah.
So that's what it's called.
Fifth generation warfare is a book called Psy-War by Dr. Robert Malone.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Robert Malone.
I love Robert Malone.
Yeah, he's a sharp cat, but at the same time, like, you know, every time they come out with these kinds of things, they're talking about the government with these half-truths on everything, you know. So when you're talking about the data centers, what people don't understand right now, the main detriment to those data centers, and this is why I said it's all interrelated. So if you start talking about Dr. Yasura Emoto with a rice experiment on 3 jars of rice and the water learning these different kinds of things, it's because of the crystalline structure in that water learning the vibration around it. That's memory. So when you're talking about a data center, what does that have to do with memory, you know? And that's all of it. It has to do with memory. So why do they need fresh water? So if they use like salt water or whatever, it would, you know, it's corrosive, it would degrade, blah, blah, blah. But the water tables are falling apart wherever these things are going up at, you know. That's a main detriment. All the plant life is going to start to die. You know, and again, like you go into scientists like Victor Schauberger, he was in the logging industry. This is the guy that made the spaceships, you know, Hitler's top technology guy. So he did this thing with, in the logging industry, they kept having log jams because the water was too warm and it was creating a buoyancy issue in the logs. And he's like, let me go investigate all of this. And he figured out that water had to be specifically at 40 degrees. It was so the logs were most buoyant at 40 degrees, I think was the, I can't remember. I think it's probably Fahrenheit. But the logs are most buoyant at this specific at this specific temperature. So, and temperature is another form of frequency. So he couldn't figure out why does the water keep getting warm, right? And they're chopping the fucking trees down. And they're killing the shade for the creeks.
Makes sense.
Right? So now we're talking about chemtrails. What is climate change? There's a cloud over my head where they use the substrate of graphene to harness the sun's energy to charge it not photoelectrically, but you know, that solar energy is now captured by the graphene nanoparticulates. This is the scaffold that they use to build the stratospheric clouds now in stratospheric aerosol injection in their programs for the carbon capture jet fuel system. Mm-hmm. The planes that are at 20, 30, 40,000 feet are spraying this substrate into the sky. It levitates because it's so light, but it also bonds to the water crystals and water molecules up in the sky. And now they become ionized. So now like everything, as we're talking about all these different things, everything is a magnet. So you just take one particulate that is negatively charged. Now the sun hits it, it gets poles on it, right? North, south, they start to align, draw themselves together. Mm-hmm. This is how the raindrop is built and everything, right? Mm-hmm. So that electron skin of the raindrop and all that stuff, the fourth phase of water, energy, electrons, blah, blah, blah. So the solar radiation is now brought into the graphene nanoparticulate. It takes, I think it was 22 hours for that particulate to fall down into the troposphere. So there was a big thing down near an airport, you know, Amy Carosa too.
Yeah.
Thing, right?
She said to say hi.
Yeah, she's very cool. But you take that as the stratosphere. I believe she ran for city council or something.
School board, maybe? One of those things.
I think it was city controllers or something, whatever it was. But in 40 Fort, well, 40 Fort has this little airport that has been sitting there dilapidated for the last 50 years. My entire life, they've never touched this place, right? Mm-hmm. Suddenly, there's like $500,000 or something going into it, whatever. It might be $400,000 in it. Now it has the county government investing this amount of money into it, right? Well, if you start looking into county governments nationwide injecting money into their small plane Cessna airports, they're all over the place. Why are they pumping so much money into those places? Well, the little planes are up and out above my house all night, every freaking night, right? Since I put these cloudbusters up. I gotta tell you,
I'm seeing it in the valley, like this valley here. Yeah. I was telling my wife the other night, I'm like, you see a bunch of weird, slow moving planes at night, going up and down the valley.
My son and I saw a drone coming out of Reading, Pennsylvania. You know, you can tell a drone when you see the tail is like this rather than a regular.
Right.
So we saw a drone landing over in Reading the other day. So this is the smart, critical infrastructure world that they're already in the middle of building. This is where everything is identifiable, everything is modulatable, right? To be able to depend, like that's how banking is done, right? They want to know if I put my money here, and it's all through disaster capitalism is a major topic that a lot of people wouldn't get, right? But I wanted to talk about the markets and stuff earlier. I was thinking about that on my way up here. But
we could always do another one.
Yeah, I mean, because this is a critical part in how they brought it all to be, you know? So now that you have a nanoparticulate in the sky that's going to descend, you have to use a distribution system for that. And the distribution system for that nanoparticulate is the rain. Why would they want that to go into the rain? Now you have the Cessna planes going up with silver iodide. The silver iodide does the same thing, but that's the troposphere is where we get our rain. So now the troposphere is raining on everything. There's the magic paintbrush for the Purdue University program, Sentient World Simulation. Sentient World Simulation that was a program funded by DARPA to duplicate the physical world and make it sentient, to make a world that was aware and conscious of itself digitally.
So when you say duplicate, right? Yeah. So you're talking about a digital duplication.
Right. It's an it's an interface now. So when they distribute graphene into or onto anything, after it has gathered a specific amount of radiant energy, like if we ban incandescent light bulbs that do not charge graphene and we replace them with a light emitting diode LED light, right. You know, now I can put a specific program of radiance into that nanoparticulate so that it would be forever identifiable.
Okay, so let me just put a pin in that for a moment. For people who think that's crazy, it's basically how CD players and DVD players work, because the laser sends information. Am I getting that right?
Same stuff.
Right. So even when like recently they're talking about like Elon started talking about this, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but the way that he described it was we could put the AI data centers in the sky, in the outer atmosphere, and they would shoot laser beams down to coordinate the transfer of information at huge gigabits of speed. So I'm just saying,
like HARP, from one location, like HARP. Like it's what they call the ionosphere is totally. I mean, I don't want to get into like the realm shit, but like I think right now we have to stick with, that's.
I'm trying to give credence to what you're saying by saying like that the information can travel in light.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, like that, all of the
that's how fiber optic cables work.
Right. Yeah. So real glass, right? But it's and that goes into the photoelectric and electrochemical process of photochemical effect, I think is what they call that with the fiber optic. But so the transmission of light in data form, everywhere you see a construction zone running up and down all of these highways, what are they putting in? It's just nonstop to the data centers, light light transmission systems. Well, all right, now you've got like Comcast comes out and they have this new, like they're the most invasive ones as far as the smart city technology, monitoring and measuring everything. Like this is the overall goal. And I said this probably 5 years ago. I've literally been this far into this like 5 years ago. For the smart city, I kept saying, if I could draw a line from, when you do that 3D drawing in school, right? If you take
the CAD drawing,
you take a point and you connect it to the focal, right? But so in all things that have just happened, whether it's COVID, whether it's government behavior or international war, Israel doing whatever, right? All of these things. It doesn't matter what you're talking about on any level about any subject, anything that is out of your control is going to that focal point. That focal point is the smart city. That is the fully autonomous sentient world simulation by Purdue, funded by DARPA. And in the SMART program that they put out in the 90s, smartphones.
You said SMART meant something. What does it mean?
Self-monitoring, assessment, and reporting technology. So your smartphone, your smart AirPods in your ears, your smart TV, through what they call backscatter technology. Backscatter technology is AI learning subtle energy frequencies. So this is the point that I was going to with AI right there. So AI is learning or has already learned the language of frequency in all of its different forms. So your phone is already set to pick up different types of variables in radiation around you, right? Mm-hmm. Light. Is that an iPhone?
Yeah.
13 or better?
I think so, yeah.
So look really closely at it. You have a camera on the facing side of it, right?
Yeah.
How many different things do you see inside there?
I can't tell. Oh, yeah. Well, I know that there's a like a LiDAR on there.
Okay.
And I think there's a LiDAR on the back.
Yeah. Do you know how often it goes off?
I think it's every 6 seconds or something. There's
3 flashes per second.
Yeah, and if anybody has a what do you call that? Ultraviolet filter or something like that. Like infrared. That's what it is. An infrared camera. You can see the flashes.
Yeah, at in a nighttime security camera around your house. You have an infrared flash going off on your face.
Yeah, for people that don't know, it's when your backup camera on your car turns black and white.
Yeah,
that's your infrared, so it can see in the dark.
Yep.
You could actually see people, if you have your phone up to your face, it looks like you're taking flash images every few seconds.
Yeah. So what, now you've got, we talked about light emitting diodes, charging graphene.
Yeah.
Right now, from COVID forward, you started to see all these different brands bringing in, the solution for the aluminum in your deodorant, and they come out with, Squatch deodorant, big name, just jumps up and it's like $20 a bar. Why? Squatch was one of them. Another Harvard scientist found out that mushrooms are great and beneficial to your body. And I think the one that I started buying was called Rise, RYSE, mushroom coffee.
Yep.
Anybody that goes to Harvard is a fucking CIA agent one way or another. I mean, it's just basically what, right? So this guy
with
comes
billions of dollars in endowments.
Yeah, right? Where does this guy getting all the money to come up with something like that for that kind of infrastructure, right? For a company to be built that way. I've had multiple businesses, right? And you just nobody's ever been firing billions of dollars at me for shit, Yeah. I'm pretty fucking smart with most of it. But so anyway, that's another one of these products that jumps up. And then, so I start reading in the graphene over this stuff, and they're talking about
self-assembling nanoparticulates.
Yes. Yeah. So through their radiance, just like they form a raindrop in the sky, it's doing that in your body.
Yeah.
Right. What was my point here with the?
I don't know. I asked you about data centers.
Yeah, but it all plays a big part in all of it. But I have a real good point here. I'm trying to think of where, if you take, all right, they kept talking about biologically engineered foods.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Robert Kennedy comes out and he starts saying, we don't want fluoride in our food. We don't want aluminum-based products in our food, right? And they hit this health thing like, hey, get the fucking fluoride out of the toothpaste. Get the aluminum out of the deodorants, right? Yeah. It's like, we're all about your health. What they're not telling everybody is that literally everything is being sprayed with graphene. Everything that you consume, everything in the packaging industries now, everything in the consumable products that you buy, all of these different things are that light data capturing nanoparticulate.
Now, when you say that, like, spraying, that people immediately think that it's
chemtrails.
Well, people think that, like, you're running around going like, your spray bottle, but that's not how it works, because it's when you say nanoparticle, it's basically like the size of what you would. It's incredibly small.
6 particulates to equal, or I think it's 6 nanotubes. I can't remember if it's 6 nanotubes or 6 particulates. So 6 let's just say it's particulates. Take 6 of those to make 1 atom.
So it's these so finite. They're so incredibly small.
Yeah.
And you need like a really powerful microscope to even look at.
Electron microscopy is the only way that you'd ever be able to even find it, but it will self-assemble inside of your body to create specifically antennas.
And you basically need remember the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery?
Alcatraz?
Yes. Yeah. Welcome to The Rock.
Yeah.
So in that movie, they talk about something called, I forget what the chemical weapon was. I forget, but they said, one of the things that they say is, if you expose this amount in this room, it'll kill everyone in the room. But if you expose it at a high altitude, it'll kill the entire city of San Francisco. So that just goes to show about disbursement.
Yeah, for sure.
So when they're flying, look, if a bird flies overhead and takes a shit, it's going to fall on something.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's your head, sometimes it's a plant, sometimes it's the grass, sometimes it's the water.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still shit.
Right.
So when they're flying overhead with this stuff in the gas, so the exhaust of it, they get to disperse it massive amounts over massive places, and you don't even need a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, this is really a critical point for people to say, all right, well, I need to look up Operation LAC. It meant Operation Large Area Coverage. It was an Army program. So now we're talking about chemtrails. Are they real or not? Conspiracy theory. SAI, not a conspiracy theory. It's a program that's fucking taught at Yale and Harvard. Solar radiation management. The sun is coming out to fucking kill everything with our last 2 weeks of -3 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So we had enough for the next 10 years, cold weather right now this year, right? But so those are real programs, right? That's legitimately the government is funding these programs through DARPA and other agencies.
And these have all been announced publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's no trade secrets here. It's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that is the substrate that they use for solar radiation management is definitely graphene. Okay. So we're just going to end that whole conversation on how they do what they do with the airplanes, right? So that rains on everything. That is the magic paintbrush for Purdue University's program of sentient world simulation. We need a problem to be fixed here. This is the problem. What is the solution? Graphene can be read wirelessly. Have you ever seen there's a, what the heck do they call it? It's Tesla phoresis. Did you hear that term?
Tesla phoresis?
Tesla phoresis, Phoresis. So
never heard of it.
Tesla, the scientist, phoresis. It's literally the binding of nanoparticulates or carbon nanotubes through an electromagnetic field. So you pour a dust on a plate, right? And this was done at Rice University. You pour this nanoparticulate. It's not a nano when they're showing the experiment, and you see a Tesla coil. There's a Tesla coil. They bind up, they wind this thing up. They throw this electromagnetic field, and you see these things starting to build their own little network of wires on it, right?
I've seen this.
Yeah, that's called Tesla phoresis. So in that process, now you've got this shit inside of your body. You're around EMF at all times inside of your home, right? You're never grounded off, which is the only primary.
You're always wearing rubber soles and you're fucking the floor of your house is not connected to anything.
Right. And it's vinyl, right? Yeah. Vinyl plank flooring, vinyl siding, asphalt ceiling, right? You are never grounded out. You're in an envelope of static potential. So when the body is constantly static, guess what? It suffers. That's oxidative stress. You're getting cancer.
Okay.
Right. So it's even the markets are built around keeping you going. So this is the old world that they're bringing us out of and into the AI world. That's the old world. So that was the disaster capitalism. Give them all fluoride, give them aluminum. We have a lifelong customer in the medical industry, right? All right. So disaster capitalism. It's like owning the plywood company and being able to send the hurricanes into Florida to wipe out the beachfront property.
Right.
So if I have the ability to control, and that's disaster capitalism.
Right.
This is legitimately what they've been doing since the ringworm children. That's a big story from Israel.
Okay.
So the ringworm children is another part of that. But through radiation, mammograms, my ex-wife, 3 times she went for a mammogram. 4th time, she had a lump in her breast that was cancerous. She had to have taken out.
Yeah.
But again, so it's the dirtiness of this network. The way that it works is to keep consumer items, right? So early on, we had it's resource bank finance. It's resource driven finances, right? So early on, we would say gold was currency. Then they came out with a tender, right, or a bill that would represent that 1 pound of gold. And then they changed that to a fiat currency. Now that resource became your debt. So now the dollar is produced. There's no more gold. They took it all, by the way. There is no gold. That's been gone since
funny
the
how
20s.
No one's talking about Fort Knox again.
Right. Yeah. So it's definitely gone. Right. And this is that banker regime that's always been here, right? Who is also responsible for the Flexion report. This is the meeting at Jekyll Island, for anybody.
That's the start of the
Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Right? So it's federal in name only. It's not federal. It has
private bank.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with our government. That's the BlackRock of the 20s.
Yeah.
So we're living through that shit again now, but to this next transition of digital currency, which is not tangible. And guess what? If there's a data center that has all the information about you, the very first one the United States has was called that was the Utah data center. That started going up when they started gathering all of the intelligence on American, right? So you are citizen 4483.5, and everything about you has been collected, gathered, and analyzed and cataloged since you've been on the internet, and it goes there. So that's emails, that's your cell phone conversations, voice, anything, right? All
text
of that.
Messages, scrolling, what you stop on, what you click, the porn you watch, the news stories that you look at.
Yep. Now they have access to the camera on the front of your phone, right? Like, why does this guy jerk off so much?
He's sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about it from that perspective. That's how personal and invasive this shit is, right?
No privacy
at all, anywhere. But they've been already on this for the last 8 years in China. Well, guess who gave them the technology to do it, to run it as a pilot? Was Israel. Yes. Where did Israel get it from? United States, through the Clinton administration and Obama, and even so a Jesuit, a skull and crossbones guy, the George H.W. Bush, right? And so who did 9/11? It's pretty funny how hardcore Israel has benefited from the outcome of 9/11.
Right.
Right. We had a 20-year war over there. We destabilized every military entity out of any country
Syria,
in the region.
Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan.
All disarmed.
Yeah.
All disarmed. And what are they doing now? They're killing Palestine. They're killing Lebanon. They're
killing Iranians.
Everybody they want to put their hands on, right? And they're doing it with our technology. And you got to wonder, so why do they hate the infidels? Like, look at what we did to their country at the behest of Israel, right? So we destabilized that entire region for Israel to be the military superpower. That's what came out of 9/11. That's the backdoor story that people don't understand about it, So you could say they did it or didn't do it, but because of it, the United States has fucked up every country over there.
Yeah, the end result is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that's just one big part of this disaster capitalism idea. So now you start talking about money. And, this finance, the bankers getting rich off of some form of resource, right? So it was gold, then silver backed, and then, and then eventually they just get to this point where it's debt only, right? And that's what we lived in for probably up until the 60s and 70s when they changed that over. So the problem, reaction, solution thing is always there, right? But they changed that over through the 60s and 70s from a 50s program over in Israel as a newly formed country, has a scientist, and I think it was Rwanda, but you just got to look the story up of the ringworm children, where the ringworm children are these African kids from that place. Now, the United Nations newly formed has everything to do with this inner turmoil And they throw the country into shit. And now one side is killing the other side because of a frequency weapon.
Hutus and the Tutsis, shit like that, right?
I think it might have been them, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's the strife
that
over
was
there.
Operation Crimson Mist is what they called it. So
Okay.
they used radio frequency to enrage one side over the other. The militarily strong side murdered everybody that was already the existing native government, overthrow them. All the kids run away. They run up to Israel, right? They get to Israel and say, hey, we're Jewish too. Please let us in. There's like 50,000 kids, little African kids. They go in, and the United States had just donated some kind of X-ray equipment to the country, and they start doing all these tests on these kids. So we wait until you see.
This is all real?
This is real. Wait till you see what I tie together here for you. You have to look this stuff. Most of this you're not going to find unless you go on to archive.org. So here's what here's the big part that you're gonna say, holy fuck, when I get to this part.
Okay.
Right? And this is why I said before real loud the big fuck you already, right?
Yeah.
Because I've been into the depths of all of it, right?
Yeah.
So now you go and all these kids get in, and the people who are there are not actually Jewish. It's part of the Khazarian, the Nazis are the people who, in my mind, from the things that I've read, the history I've learned, the Nazis escaped Germany, the Ashkenazi. This is probably a rough one for you. I don't know how that's going to air, right? But the Ashkenazi.
A little air.
That is who landed down in Israel. They are not religious Jews. They are secular Jews, right? So the religious Jews, this is what causes all the strife over in the Middle East. They're pissed that these non-secular, these secular people are here, right? The religious Jews, get the fuck out of here, right? All the Palestinians, all of the Muslims, get the hell out of here. You don't belong here, right? They're your white people, How does your name Seinfeld and you live here, next to me? So a real Jew, by name, within the last 50 to 60 years would be like Amir or Saeed or something like that, an Arab type name. These are not actual Jews, right? So they take over the government from within. And anyway, now that these people who were just doing all these experiments on human beings up in Germany, throughout World War II, go down to Israel, doing the same shit. I mean, when I think of Nazi scientists, what's the first image you get in your head?
Mengele.
What's that?
Dr. Mengele?
What is it, the one with the syringe?
He was the one who was doing all the experiments on like the twins.
The twins and stuff. Yeah. But there was I'm saying my image when I think of a Nazi scientist, somebody standing there in a white coat holding a syringe, like they were doing all these injections and experiments on injections and stuff. So that's where they started using fluoride, like directly in the bloodstream, right? Just killing people's brains. Those same people now are in control of Israel as their government, right? So that's a formation through the Balfour Declaration where Lord Rothschild, you ever see any of that stuff?
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah, so the Balfour Declaration, this is all granted to the German Jews to, take over that land. And it's an occupation. Starts off, Tel Aviv is 5% of the land of Palestine. Well, now there's only 5% Palestine, 95% Tel Aviv, right?
Right.
So from there, now, anyway, so this expansionism and this, you can call it colonialist takeover. These kids get there, and this scientist from there, he is actually, I want to say Austrian. I think he was an Austrian doctor, lives in Israel now, starts doing all these radiation therapy tests on these children. They justify this by calling them the ringworm children. So they all got ringworm. We need to kill the ringworm, right? They have tested so I told you I have a Rife machine, right? Mm-hmm. I can literally heal or change or modify the way that my brain waves act with that, right? By known frequency or whatever. I can change the joint problems by matching the resonant field of energy in the calcium uptake in my body due to, the aluminum absorption that is caused by, the hyper aluminum absorption that is caused by fluoride, right? So your gums are the most absorbent tissue in your body. You brush your teeth with fluoride. Guess what? Now
it goes right in.
Since the 60s and 70s. Wait until you see where I'm going with the ringworm children. It's going to infuriate you. It's going to infuriate you. So he does all these tests. So just as you would measure cc's with a chemical to put into somebody's body, there's a measurable number of frequencies you can apply to the body in a harmonious or disharmonious manner. I can heal myself. I could kill myself with a Rife machine. So I wanted to learn it. How do I know if I'm doing the right thing? I'm going to fuck myself up or what?
Right.
You know? Well, now the 50s happen. This whole thing with the ringworm children happens. All these different radiation therapies are done on all these kids. I think all but like 5 of them died within 20 years. The majority of them died within 3 to 4 years. Due to some form of, this is where they started coming up with BX gas and all that stuff. Like, is it BX gas? VX?
Yeah.
Is it whatever the one for?
I think that's the
radiation. It's pure radiation, whatever that stuff I'm talking about. I don't know, whatever it is, right? VX or BX. But it's a real thing. Like, who the fuck is making stuff like this, right?
Right.
So now on top of it, you take all of this data. This guy is analyzing how much radiation does it take to cause breast cancer? How much radiation does it take to cause, rectal, or what do they call that? Colon cancer, right? How much does it take to cause brain cancer? Right. We're wearing Bill Gates gaming headsets and, you're always around electricity at all times in whatever setting you are. Right. People losing, their hand is always going numb. I wonder why. Right. Well, I sit there with my phone all day, on the charger. It's like 400 times the amount of radiation goes into your phone in your hand.
I saw that once you plug it in.
Yeah. Once you plug it in. So, now I told you about my buddy, the surgeon. I was at his house with his wife and his children. I took a meter and I said, all right, everybody hold hands. And I'm going to keep the meter on one side of me. And the wife was holding the iPhone in her hand. And I said, now she's a physician's assistant. He's a surgeon. She's holding the phone in her hand all the way at the other side. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm the 5th person. Did you ever hear when somebody's getting electrocuted, if you grab onto them, you're going to get it harder because they are just a throughway for that electricity. You're going to get zapped like twice as much. So I'm holding this meter off to the side and I said, all right, go ahead. And it was measuring like a high amount, right? But it was only like 200 volts per meter or something. She plugs it in and it goes zing right off the charts. Unreadable amount of radiation now has traveled through her into her phone, through the phone, through the charger, into her body, into her hand, through all of us, and sets this thing off the charts. And you don't even have to be touching it. This is just right next to you. So women start popping up with breast cancer. It's a major issue, right? That was 1G caused that. That wasn't breast implants. I can go through this whole thing from the start of radiation therapy, radio waves and all this different stuff, right? But so now as they're doing this stuff, it's always in the commercialized products, right? And that's the markets that they build. Like they're encapsulating us in this static environment within the house to keep you from grounding and having that caduceus reciprocity. Are we beyond?
No. I just keep looking at the cameras. Yeah.
So the ringworm children thing happens, and now from the late 50s and into the early 60s, you start seeing, hey, go get an X-ray. Get an X-ray. You go and you get an X-ray. The mammograms thing starts coming up. Your cells are held together electromagnetically. So when you are running a really hard electromagnetic field around the outside of the body, that will actually defabricate the structure that encases what your cell is made of, which is on the outside is plasma. Plasma is light energy. That's all it is. It's something that has been, your body basically, what they knew, like Jesus says, I am the light. That's the primary building block of your body is light. This is what they're capturing with graphene is the light out of your body. Your light is the power source for it, right? This is why people are saying like I could walk over a cemetery and still get the Bluetooth off the people.
Wait, what?
You didn't hear anything about the people that are throwing a Bluetooth signal after being vaccinated?
No, I didn't hear anything about that.
I could show you if you're vaccinated.
I believe it. It's out there. I'll check it into it.
I can show you if you're vaccinated.
Yeah, I just never heard it. I'm not.
I know. Either way, but I could literally show you my phone. You have to modify your phone and put it into developer mode, right? So I can tell people I've taken them out in the woods. I'm like, dude, that's you. It's my phone. Take your phone and put it away. and it shows a literal Bluetooth device. It's a MAC address, medium access code or something it's called. Their bodies are now devices. It's a node on this network, right? That is due to the graphene and the hydrogels in the body.
Okay, we need to try this.
I'll show you.
No, we need to film it. We need to do it.
Yeah. So we'll take multiple people.
Yeah.
We'll take multiple people out in the woods. I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you for sure. But I've never been inaccurate with it. If I see a MAC address, I could say to somebody, you had 1 COVID shot and 2 boosters. Like, how the fuck did you know that? You see them swallow real deep and then you feel terrible. Like, oh my God, I just fucking ruined this person's life. Like, what did they put in my body? You know, and this is that polarization that they started with, the politics and the identity politics shit through the beginning. Now they're on recovery politics. They're giving you any bullshit story they can just to kind of comb over what, like what's really going on here with all this AI stuff. That's the end goal. You know, you see these things like Trump is saying, hey, Christians, you only got to vote once,
Yeah.
This time, that's what he's talking about. Is AI is going to be the government, and this method, using graphene and all that stuff. So anyway, the disaster capitalism leading into all of these other things, right? They ran out of things. Your body was the resource. So your health, all of these German Jewish names start popping up all over the place. Well, who's always in the middle? All right, the smartest people are always the Jewish people, they say, right? People that identify as Jewish people, right? So we can call them whatever we want. It doesn't matter. They're people, right? And I don't have anything against Jewish or non-Jewish or anything, right? But the people who are ahead of the curve on all of the markets are the ones who are buying up all the hospitals through the 70s, right? Now you start to see places like Geisinger exploding, like Wilkes-Barre, like half of it is owned by Geisinger, but how do they start to get all of this growth? Well, if I own the plywood company and I could start all of the hurricanes through weather modification.
People are always going to be coming to me for lumber.
Right. So if I own the hospitals and I can make all these people sick with all of these things, like every single vaccination ever has had aluminum in it.
Or mercury.
Or mercury. The bigger one is aluminum though, and I'll tell you why. So aluminum, I've had an injection when I was a kid. I was 4 years old and I needed it to get into school. Again, they entrap you into injecting this shit into your body. Lifelong problems. So aluminum will ionize, meaning it's like popcorn. If I take a popcorn kernel and I throw it into a frying pan, it will explode into a piece of popcorn. So if you take a particulate of aluminum and you put it into your body where your blood system will circulate it and eventually it will go into your brain. So 60s, 70s forward, everybody is consuming all these different products. What's coming out at that time? Aluminum soda cans. And beer cans and spearmint, fresher breath, blah, 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 right? What's it wrapped in?
Aluminum wrappers.
Aluminum wrappers. They get rid of tin foil, food coverings, and guess what? I cover my food.
So now you have aluminum foil.
Aluminum foil, right? So the ionization from the aluminum and the absorption from the aluminum. Now, if I open up a stick of gum, what's that real dusty shit that's on there?
I don't know. I never even, you're right.
It's aluminum. So the aluminum is now in the most absorptive tissue in your body.
Which is your gums.
Which is your gums. And you have any form of radiation, just like if I can pick up a Bluetooth signal off of a person, I can also modify a piece of aluminum in your body. So like when you talk about ionization, did you ever see that white that an aluminum product would have? Like it rusts differently than oxidative.
Yes. Right? So because my family was in the steel business, they used to make aluminum rails.
Yeah. So that white dust that comes, I used to do a lot of welding. Right?
Yeah.
But aluminum and stainless and stuff, right? But that white dust that you see, that oxidative outcome, that is like the slag. So it's the dirtiest part of the aluminum, basically, right? All the impurities are out, but that's happening in your body with this particulate, right? So it bonds to membranes and whatever, and now you've got an outside frequency affecting the way that right? FM radio and aluminum basically got circulated into the commercial world here in the United States at the same time. FM radio affects aluminum particulates to the point where they will ionize. And then you got fresh goes, whatever these
Mentos.
Well, not it's not. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. What's the gum? The spearmint.
Fresco. Oh no, Fresh Up Your Life. It was like Wrigley's.
Yeah, Wrigley's.
It was like everybody's like holding hands and do a double,
but all at the same time through the 70s. Right?
Yeah.
So now you've got aluminum particulates in the gum wrappers and Coca-Cola. The bubble gum. And you're like, this is how deep I've gone into all these topics, man. Yeah. It's fucked up, right? But now you're at this point where you're just like,
I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I don't trust anything,
Yeah.
So, carrying all that around with you is a really difficult thing to take to other people, and I really want to do that, but because they deserve to know that all of these processes have been weaponized for the benefit of another person to either get rich or just to wipe you out and, to control the demographics of whatever, right? And that was another part of COVID. Like the people that suffered the most were like generally white people, or they carried a specific gene, VMAT2 gene. You should look that up, VMATT. There was a video of a guy that looks like, they say that it's not on the internet, but a guy that looks like Bill Gates talking to the same way like Giordano on it's the God gene, which essentially drives you to religious fanaticism, right? And so that God gene is basically people who are free, primarily, mostly have it, right? So that's a big part of the whole thing with COVID, because
people are
now
free. People who can think for themselves,
right? Yeah, you're not religiously indoctrinated. Like you wholeheartedly believe in the freedom of like you said, the human experience and all that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a destructive nature that's gone from civilization to civilization over and over and over again. The Roman Empire is the one that really stomped it out when they crushed all of what was ancient Egypt. That's the primary of my reading, because we're just like how people always say history repeats itself. Same fucking people have been controlling history the entire time. That's why.
What did I hear? I heard somebody say history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as fuck rhymes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of, and this is all, so, you mentioned something earlier, because I can give us like another 25 minutes, but I do want you to come back if you're open to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the hardest things that I've had to deal with is,
I'll complete on the whole, I know you want to get to the data thing, but I'll finalize that for you.
Let's do that. And then I want to ask you what I want to ask you. So when I asked you about the data centers and frequency and all this shit, and then you just kind of like educated a lot of people to a lot of shit. Where does that lead? Where does because I've had people on here and they say, well, it could lead to like the destruction of the environment, or it could lead to higher property taxes and no jobs. And I think there's other layers to it besides those things.
Well, let's use that old joke, right? If you want to touch the sides and you want to touch the sides and you throw a hot dog down the hallway, right? You throw a hot dog down the hallway. You're not going to
construction site. We're joke there.
Yeah. So the hot dog is the entire hallway is this data center thing. Everything in it, the air and everything else. The hot dog is just these people are worried about the small, but they're worried about the hot dog. I'm worried about everything involved in that hot dog, the way the wind moves as the hot dog flies through the air, the way the doors and the cracks of air underneath each threshold move, right? All of that is disturbed and monitored and calculated and cataloged just by the velocity or the speed or whatever of that hot dog flying down the hallway. Mm-hmm. So if you use that as the analogy, that is what they're measuring. All of that data is what's going into those data centers. That's your phone, all the smart technology from your phone in conjunction with all of the smart devices that you wear. The backscatter technology, if I have a meter at my house, I might have it out in my truck, but if I brought that meter in here, I could show you that your smart television throws the same amount of electrons or electrical radiant energy off of it while it's off as when it's on. Right?
Did not know that.
Yeah. Why would it do that? And everybody's bitching about
it's still powered on?
It's still powered on. That's an imaging system. That's an inside your home radiation emitting radar station. That smart stove, smart refrigerator, All of these things, the wiring in your house can be measured. So they're creating a radar system, house to house to house, right? Come out with cell phone technology back in 78 or 79. They commercialize it. What does the government do?
They get rid of lead paint?
They ban the lead paint, right?
Because you can't look in.
You can't look at anything that way. It's the electron transfer is what they don't want, right? They don't want the disruption of outside influence of radiation. Like if I'm putting this together in my head the right way, I'm just saying the way that I read through these things, seeing as I do, I'm not saying this is guaranteed. I know that 100%, but I'm saying if you start looking at all this other shit, the hot dog is not what I should be watching right now.
Right.
You see all these other things, the ringworm thing, the cancer thing, the religion thing, the everything, right? You see all of this other stuff dynamically. I always make this analogy of, you ever hear of the monad? It's a circle and there's a dot in the center of it. They call it the monad. That was like a Gnostic teaching thing, but it was the one experiencing the all, so God is, so basically it's like something like, we experience God through him, and God experiences us through us, right? So, God experiences us through him, and we experience God through us, like however, right? Like, I forget how the hell I was thinking about that, but it made a really cool idea at the time. So I read a lot into that kind of spiritual stuff, right? But these are the kind of ideas that they've been knocking out of people forever, right? And with the intent of you not being free, right? To become docile, to always be dependent, and to drive fear in everything you do, and that's a big way of maintaining control over populations of people at a time, right? You let them police themselves. Like, you're scared for your soul, aren't you? Right. So I'm going to come up with hey, there's an invisible man in the sky. Not to say that God's not real, because I am 100% on a spiritual level now. Like,
I believe in a God. I just don't think I believe in an organized religion.
Yeah. So the religious structures are specifically built in, absolutely for this, like for that to happen, and this is where post Egypt. Well, so it's the post pharaonic Egypt, like more the Hyksos were the rulers by dark magic, and the common translation that the mainstream allows to speak will tell you that it's the rulers from a foreign land. Right. But it's the rulers through dark magic is what that means. And the rulers through dark magic. Well, what the fuck? Magic isn't real, right? It's absolutely, we're talking about frequency, electricity. They've known this stuff since all the way back then. So
I agree with that.
Yeah. They have destroyed everything that Egypt was as a principle. It was, to live in the most spiritual, pious manner that you possibly could, to exist in such purity that you are guaranteed to go into the afterlife, right? They weren't about murdering and slavery, right? Like that was a Mesopotamian thing. Like you think about the Mesopotamians built the entire structure of time, right?
What did somebody say to me one time? They said, time isn't real, clocks are.
Clocks are.
Yeah.
Right. So when you hear it's stuff like that's just one religious indoctrination moment is since the beginning of time.
Right.
What's the beginning of time? Right. The Mesopotamians came up with the system. This is how. So every bone in your finger. You ever see this? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And those 4 fingers. I got 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night. So if I do that on my, this is the merchant tribe that wants to measure, monitor, calculate, catalog everything with the smart city.
Right.
Right. It's all of their technology. Why do we need to count time? Right? The sun is up there. It's probably noon, but what does it matter?
Right.
Well, I need to know what my fucking slaves are doing over there, don't I?
Right.
Slavery comes with this, all of it, right? In every situation ever throughout time.
Every group.
Measuring anything like that. Your labor, that's a resource, right?
Yep.
So the measurement of all those things.
My African buddies tell me, he goes, we don't give a fuck about clocks.
Right. Yeah.
He goes, we don't look at them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that concept, right? So this is a 5,784-year-old time measuring system for slavery specifically. All right. Well, we got time. We're going to need money. So think about this as a concept, right? So 5 times 12 times 5. 60. There's my base 60 math system for measuring time. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 240. I can't remember the number. I think it's 200. It's not 240. It's 14 something. I can't remember. But the minutes equate to 24 hours in a day. 360 degrees in a circle. We travel around the sun 360 degrees. This is what I started on, the monad thing, right? So that one thing, you're born as that one thing. Now, in that 360 degrees of the circle, if I figure out a new degree each day I'm alive, I go 360 times, right? Now I experience life 360 times, right? And I'm no longer that little dot. I've now just went full circle and came to understand where I came from and all of that, right? But this is the way that I think about all these things is to experience all these different things from a 5-year-old's perspective, from a Democrat's perspective, from Republicans, or an Africans or a Palestinians or a Jewish guy, right? So if you understand their culture and you come from their culture and you vicariously think about how would I be if I were that, none of us do that anymore. We say, hey, Trump's winning,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's an Eagles game.
Yeah. Whatever law you want to play, Trump did it, right? Well, Palantir is using all of this. They're using all of this data and all this technology that they're gathering on you, and they're building a file. They're not technically recording you. They're recording you, but they're not coming after you because of it. They just have a file set off to the side for the moment that they decide, right, I'm a gun-toting, law-abiding citizen.
Right. Now we have all this data.
Right now, you're a gun-toting, law-abiding citizen right now.
Yeah.
What about when they changed the laws? You're no longer allowed over in Australia to say anything anti-Semitic. They're literally locking people in prisons because of them saying anti-Semitic, whatever. The people who are not even Semitic.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole topic is really fucking twisted and backwards, right? They're killing the Semitic people. Who's the real, so this is a very touchy topic. It's
very touchy.
Yeah. And it's never to it. And, the last thing that I want to do.
See, before,
I don't want to offend anybody that is of the Jewish
I don't either.
Identity.
I have these fights with people about it, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, to criticize a country is not the same as criticizing.
The government is what I'm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people in charge are. Look, I'll tell you this. I'm supposed to interview someone that was on the USS Liberty in 1968 on June 8th.
Yeah.
When it was attacked by Israel during the 7-Day War or whatever, right? I don't fucking care, but I'm going to get the anti-Semitic shit, and I'm not criticizing a religion or a people. I'm criticizing a government and their choices. That was a reconnaissance mission for Egypt. They wanted to know about it. That was the last overthrow of Egypt. Us not being allowed to go into the pyramids and stuff. I talked to the guy.
It's because of that.
I've talked to the guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a intelligence ship. I didn't know it was gathering information. I didn't know about all the radio towers and all the and the people that were on it. I didn't know any of that stuff.
There's only 100 people or something living on it.
No, it was 480 of them were here. They're crypto. They were called crypto technicians. They were enlisted. There was about 80 or so on board.
Language, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's when I interview this guy, it's going to be amazing. And I hope that I hope that people take it, to heart, that he's genuine. He's trying to tell the truth as he sees it.
Yeah.
But we have to get past this. We can criticize Christians, we can criticize Muslims, we can criticize all these people, but we can't criticize the Buddhists or the Jews.
Or the Chinese.
Or the Chinese, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the freedom of speech thing. You're supposed to be able to do that with no consequence. If I want to say that Christians are the worst fucking people on the planet,
yeah,
I should be able to say that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I better back it up. I better have information to back it up.
I know people that are Jewish that are the sweetest, most decent, awesome. caring.
Yeah.
I mean, the definition on Jewish is so fucked up and hard to understand. Like, it literally took me 4 years or so
to understand what it means.
Like, well, to understand the whole Israel thing, to understand World War II.
It's complicated.
It's very complicated. And like, I've been to the point where like Hitler wasn't a bad guy. He was just protecting his own people. But like, the Jews weren't actually Jews. Well, wait, they were Jews. No, they weren't Jews. So they're Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah, it's part of the tribes, right?
This is the 13th tribe. This is the Khazarian mafia. So if there were any true worshiping Jews in Germany at the time, or Poland or Russia, they were very, very unique to that territory, right? And the overthrow of all the Christian stuff, this is all Jesuit. These people that hate the religion, or the spirituality in anything, just like ancient Egypt, so Rome destroyed, using religion as the model. Rome destroyed every place it landed by saying, hey, you guys need a little bit of Jesus. The Vikings would have never been beaten without Christianity, right?
Right.
Same thing over in Japan. How you get a whole bunch of hard-nosed Japanese soldiers to break down, right? That's all. World War II was about the same structure, right? The same banking structure. Did you ever see the movie The Last Samurai?
Yeah, with Tom Cruise.
Great movie. But it's that. We are going through that exactly right now in the United States. What they lived through was they lost their culture to westernized technologies, right? We want the planes, we want the trains, we want the automobiles. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You're going to pay for the gasoline now, right? So they felt so betrayed by that. That's why they took the one-way trip. They didn't have the money or the resources to get fuel to get back.
You're talking about Pearl Harbor. Pearl
Harbor. Yeah. That's what made them attack. And all of that was based on, I think it was Jacob Schiff was the chief financier of selling all of this technology to them at the time. But we're talking about the Industrial Revolution all of this stuff now. We're going through it again, but we're selling off our American sovereignty for this exactly. This is a replica of the Industrial Revolution. When you hear Klaus Schwab coming out, the guy that's in charge of world commerce and business, we need a great reset.
You will eat the bugs.
Yeah.
And you will own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah. The fourth industrial revolution. So his father was...
And that's what we're seeing right now.
His father was a Nazi officer.
Yeah.
And he was Jewish.
Weird.
Klaus Schwab is a Frankist Jew. So that's what he identifies as. So, when you're talking about anti-Semitism and the model or the weapon, or, how do we change ideologies to fit everything we want to do? Malkowski, you know who he is? Netanyahu.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He changed his name.
So he's also, he's a Jesuit. Poland hates Jewish people.
The country of Poland.
They hate them. They hate them since the Bolshevik Revolution. Epstein's grandfather was, somebody just looked this up for me yesterday on one of my videos. It was Julius, his name was. So Julius was a Bolshevik, the overthrow of the monarchies in Russia.
Nicholas and Alexandra.
Yeah. So King Nicholas. Yeah. Killing all of his family intentionally.
Yes.
And all of the orthodoxy, anybody that was Christian or religious at all. They went after them hardcore. This is like 60 million is what they say the real numbers are. I don't know. But through the famine and all the stuff with the Stalinist shit. But anyway, they destroy all of that with the money of another guy named Schiff. So Leon Trotsky and Vladimir Lenin were both Jewish, right? Karl Marx was Jewish. That's 100 years before, 150 or whatever. Karl Marx, his name was Moses something.
Yeah.
Right? He's the one who wrote the Communist Manifesto.
Yep.
Him and Friedrich Engels. They throw him out. What does he do? He hides as a Christian in Germany after they throw him out of France. But he had
Karl Marx does.
Karl Marx, yeah. You got to read the Communist Manifesto. And then this other book, that's the one I started off with. That was the Communists, The Naked Communist by whatever the hell his name is. I don't know. But so anyway, like this whole thing has already happened, and it was back in the 30s and 40s. They used the imagery of Hollywood. When I say they, right, it's not the Jewish problem. It's not the Jewish are religious. They're good, God-fearing, just like a Christian, just like a Muslim, each to their own religion, the Jewish, but it's the secular Jews, right? The people who they call it redemption through sin. There's a book called 1666 by a guy named Robert Sepper. It's only about this big, but it explains this entire era of the Dark Ages where, all this 13th tribe migrates in through Russia and overthrows through whatever. And then what do? They vow vengeance. We're coming back and we're going to kill all you bastards. Well, what do? They start to integrate themselves into the government structures of these other European lands. That'd be Germany, that'd be right wherever.
So they're following the same playbook as the World Economic Forum.
They're following the same playbook of the Hyksos who came out of Israel. The Hyksos were the people who ruled ancient Egypt. They came out as the Israelites, and then they took all of their gold from being slaves, and they melted it into a big giant cow, so that when Moses came down from the mountain, right, the golden calf. So where did a bunch of slaves get all of their gold?
I don't know.
It's pretty weird. It's the Hyksos. These people overthrew Egypt. They finally got thrown out of Egypt, but they called them the snake people because they ruled from within. They integrated themselves into the roots of society, and then they grew up from within to overthrow their political structures. They did this everywhere they've ever been. That was Mesopotamia. That was Sargon of Akkadian in ancient Mesopotamia. The whole Babylonian construct is built off of this same thing by creating money, currency. But these were the merchant tribes always selling something. Right. And this is the same method. So what did they do? They moved to Greece. Guess what? They're also involved in Persia and Assyria. Assyria overthrew Egypt at one time, always warring with them. But Persia at one time was in control of ancient Egypt. Well, Greece freed Egypt from Persia using Alexander the Great. Now we've got the country of Alexandria. Well, whose idea was it from across this ocean to go over and free Egypt? Why do they care about it?
Oh my God, the fucking recording's full.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we still have the sound though.
That's cool. So
yeah, the videos, there's too much video. We spoke for too much video.
How much time are we here? I don't even know what time we got.
It's like 3 hours.
Wow.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah. So that's the model anyway. Behind the Bolshevik Revolution is the same thing. They go into Egypt, right? So coming out of Egypt, they go back to Egypt with Greece, with Rome, kill everybody, destroy everything holy and sacred about it. Rome was the final nail in the coffin by using Christianity. They crushed that. Next, after that, now you've got the Bolshevik Revolution. They get thrown out of Khazaria. They bring them, they go back and they murder everybody that's holy, right? So they're vowing revenge. So as the Israelites, they vowed revenge on evil Egypt. It's the same model is what I'm telling you.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do follow-ups of this.
Yeah.
Because we ran out of video.
Subheadings. Take some subheadings.
But we still have audio, which is good.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. The last thing I want to ask you, for right now, is how is like your family and friends? Because that's the kind of thing that I'm like trying to figure out. Is because
yours or mine?
Yours. Like how over the last 5-6 years, how is your relationships? I'm just wondering how this. So you have downloaded all this knowledge.
Yeah, it's really isolated. It's to a point that they're like, Dad, you're brilliant, but you never shut up about this fucking stuff, right? Which is true, because it's now the reality that we have is what was given to us. Actuality is a totally different thing, right? It's the word play, just like they do with the numbers game, and I can go into some really deep and cool things, but it's all obfuscation. All these things that we learn, it's obfuscation. It's to suck up the brain power that you have. Like your camera just took as much data as it could hold, right?
And that was it.
Right. So, what, the voice? Even with the voice?
No, I don't think the voice is
good.
No, we're still good. We're still good. We still got voice.
Yeah. But it's intended to overwhelm everybody. It is totally intended. All of these different things in education and the indoctrination processes through
don't even worry about me.
Yeah, through school, through church, through whatever. All of it is obfuscation to detach you from the one important thing that you're here to experience, right? And that is like the whole God experience and all that stuff. Find true spirituality, investigate things, experience things, you know. And now that I've come to a spiritual perspective on all of it after studying the Gnostic, you know, the Jewish Gnostic Essenes and whatever, like Jesus is one of these guys supposedly. But it was all about spirituality. And I now know that my oldest daughter is a total atheist, but I don't know where she sits with that now. My son and I argue every day only because that's a matter of ego. Who knows more is the argument. But I'm pretty isolated, I think, at this point by reading all of it. And that's why I do a lot of Facebook videos. There's a lot of people there supporting it. But they primarily think that I'm out of my mind. And it's just that they can't understand from, you know, that like they've got to wake up and they've got to wake up and live their life. You know, like they've got to wake up. Like I had a friend of mine, I was supposed to go do this huge contract down in Tennessee, and the guy's like, you know, my wife is freaking nuts, you know, but I believe her on all these things. He's like, but you know, I still have to live in the real world, you know, and that's for me. I know, right? Like that's the whole thing, is do nothing. Like we're watching this stuff with all the data and the AI and them controlling everything. Do nothing. Do not participate. Opt out. I'm done, man. You guys it's over with. No more taxes and all that shit. Adios. I don't care anymore. Like that's the point that I'm at. Like once I saw my face, you know, my son's face, that whole thing with COVID, and knowing that this is absolutely a fabricated event. Like we were talking about the exosomes. That's what COVID was. It was an exosome. It's always been present in blood samples with microscopy. And they would say, all right, we'll take a still picture of it. And because that exosome was always in those pictures, they would say, oh, that must be the culprit. It's in all the sick people. What they're not telling everybody is that is not what invades the healthy human cell and makes it sick. It's escaping the human cell. So that as a protein, they kept talking about spike proteins and all that shit. That protein is that information packet to let all of the other cells know, hey, there's waste. So when you go to the doctor and you say, hey, I'm sick, doc, can you give me some antibiotics? And no, it's viral. What the fuck does that mean? Right. It means it's a dead packet of information. It's cellular debris. Your cell just took a shit in your bloodstream is what that is. That's what the exosome is. That's what they call virus. So it's that's symptomatic. That's not causal. You know, causation is, you've got an entire family of people. The mother goes out to work at the hospital or the high school or the supermarket, right? There's a 5G tower there. She goes back home, gets COVID 3 days later. So that way that you experience your hangover, right? Where your cells are communicating with each other and like, hey, we got poisoned. Flush out. They'll expend, the cells will expend up to 50% of their own water to evacuate whatever that toxic agent is.
So you feel dehydrated.
Yeah, but that's bacteria. So bacteria is 100% real for sure, right? Yeah. Virus has never existed this way, ever. I can prove this somewhere. Like there's a guy named Dr. Thomas Cowan, and the way that I understand it is fucking crazy, but it took me forever. Do you ever hear the Boston study? Are you ever going to use this as audio?
Yeah, I'm going to use all of it. Just because the camera died doesn't mean we can't listen. So what I do is like when that happens is I'll put a still image up. Yeah. So it's like the cartoon when you see the person talking. Yeah.
So this is going to fuck your brain up. So virus has never existed. The Boston study, they went back and the Boston study was done in 1923. They used Spanish flu for that. The Boston study was 100 volunteers. They were like from the Army, Navy, prisoners, you know, wanting to reduce their prison time and all this stuff. But they get 100 people and it's a control group study, and they break them into 3 different groups. And so they take the sick people and they have them breathe on the faces of the healthy subjects in the first group. In the second group, they have them cough down their throats. And in the third group, they extract the mucus from the nasal cavity and inject it into the healthy subjects' nasal cavities. Mm-hmm. Everything that you've ever learned in your entire life about medicine or health would tell you how many of those people absolutely got sick.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I would say all of them.
all of them, right? Like, yo, germs, wash your hands, right? They had corona, right? I thought when I was reading that, I thought that it was at least the 33% that had the snot shot into their fucking
I would have thought that too, yeah.
At least those guys, I said like 33%. I figured, all right, well, maybe what the others thinking. None.
Why?
None of them got sick because it's not an infectious disease. COVID was never that. COVID was an exosome. It was a response to the water cymatically fucked with by the 5G towers. That radiation source got the cells sick, right? So if you notice after, so this is the Spanish flu. That was AM radio. So after the Spanish flu, let's just say, this will be really interesting. So the Spanish flu, they move on to radar. Immediately after radar, you start having all these neurological problems and kids popping up, fucking commercialization of radar. And they commercialized that in the 50s, but it was already present in the 30s, 40s. It was something. It was some English dude came up with the technology, bounce radio waves off something, read them back. So radar comes out, polio, all these neurological problems start happening to people. Well, they start injecting a whole bunch of kids with all this shit. All the fucking kids die from the injections. Then nobody ever died from the polio.
Yeah, Jonas Salk.
Right?
It's also, did you look into like it's a heavy metal poison too? Polio?
The what?
Polio is a heavy metal poison?
Oh, yeah. Mercury and whatever. Yeah.
Arsenic and yeah.
Yeah. So then, and I really want to tell you about the whole, oh man, I know it's so much, but the barium, strontium, and aluminum
from the
original chemtrails. Oh, I did tell you that already.
No, you didn't. I know about that. Well, I've heard about that. Yeah.
All right. So barium makes your cells hydrophobic. They won't absorb good, healthy water.
Really?
Strontium destroys your bone marrow. You can't generate new red blood cells if your bone marrow is fucked up.
Right.
Aluminum oxidizes inside in the body. This is what causes metastasization, cancer, tumor growth, right? Yeah. So if my cells can't absorb good, clean water and filter themselves out, and I can't build new cells, that's what I was getting into with all the aluminum stuff before. All that shit started at the same time, spraying it in the sky and all that, So it's like you see at a certain point, like this is an absolute attack on the population. It's to limit, the population to a specific amount of density, to have absolute control over it through commerce, right? So that's where
I also think it's to kill whatever spirit is left about finding some connection with God or the universe or each other.
That's a big part in it. Yeah, you can't control people. You can't control people who aren't going to take your fucking shit, man. And you're not going to take anybody's shit. You ever notice like all these guys that are doing podcasts and like videos, a lot of them, like most of them have red beards. Like,
no, I didn't notice that. Yeah, all right.
Keep your eyes out on like TikTok or Facebook. If you see reels, you'll see how there's just like so many red-haired dudes out there talking about this stuff. Irish people freaking out, but there's something in the red-haired people that they fucking hate. Like, so this same structure now actually comes from Rome. All of that stuff.
Dude, they're killing the gingers, man.
Right. Yeah. So it's an intended goal.
Did you notice that Hollywood does that? The only time they change they never put redheaded characters in anymore.
Yeah.
They always change them to like a minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
So the Picts, right? Ireland and the Boudica, I think her name was. Rome kept trying to capture Ireland, and they couldn't do it. Like that was the place that they had the hardest time. So there was a queen. They went and they raped her in front of all of her kids and stuff, and said, swear fealty to Rome and blah blah blah. She spit in their face. They never ended up, I don't think, killing her, but I think that the whole story about her, she's this red-haired princess, and she's like, no, we're not letting you fuckers take our land and whatever.
Right.
But Rome could never overthrow, the Picts. Like that was where they always ran into their biggest problems when they were fighting native white, red-haired people. Czechoslovakia was one of my, Scottish were another, but through the crown and all that stuff. So Rome is still the power structure today, and that's our government. So like, you have to. This is how you connect all these. Russia has on their flag a two-headed eagle, falcon, or there's another name for it, right? But it shows three crowns over the two heads of that two-headed eagle. Poland has a one-headed eagle, but it's a red and white flag. Switzerland, right? You want a Swiss bank account. Where does Klaus Schwab live?
Yeah. Where are they building bunkers in the mountains? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Switzerland. So Klaus Schwab lives in Switzerland. Davos is in Switzerland. What do they have on their flag? Another eagle. That's the Knights Templar. That's the syndicate. That's the esoteric cult that came from Mithra, right? The worship of Mithra. Mithra was a Roman deity, had 7 spires on the crown. Did you ever hear this thing about the Statue of Liberty?
Yes, you told me about this with the chain on the foot.
Yeah, the chain on the foot is literally Lucifer. That's a Freemasonry thing, yeah. But it means I am no longer bound to this earthly realm because I have reached gnosis and I am now godly. I belong in the stars. Oh, that shit, man, that's fucking wild.
So I unfortunately have to go participate in the stupidity of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, watch for the symbolism, man.
I was watching the Winter Olympics the other night and they fucking lit the thing and I'm looking at my buddy going like, I was with somebody who works for a politician and I'm like, that doesn't look like anything fucking nefarious. That big red fucking torch thing that they lit. It's in the shape of like a pentagram and I'm like, I can't anymore. Like, I just want to watch curling. Like all I want to watch is Winter Olympics and the guys just throwing the rocks and sweeping. That's all I want to watch.
This one real quick. The Statue of Liberty we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So Lucifer.
Yeah.
All the Luciferian Hollywood people.
Yeah.
What was your favorite show from the 50s and 60s?
I mean, I wasn't that old, but I'd probably have to say like Mr. Ed or Lassie or... I used to watch Nick at Night. I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy.
Okay.
So write down Lucifer. Write down Lucy.
Lucy.
C-Y, right? Lucy means to light or to bring light in Old Latin. What was the names of the characters? The first, right?
Is Lucy and Desi.
Frank, Edwina or something. Frank, right? But Lucy, L-U-C-I, Ball. Her name was
Lucille Ball, yeah.
B-A-A-L.
Oh, Ball, the god.
Baal. Right?
Shut the fuck up. This is crazy.
B-A-L. That's what the other 3 ended up spelling. The F-E-R. They ended up spelling the F-E-R, but her last name in the show, right? So how do you bring a whole bunch of people into something that's unhealthy with them, right? You create an image for them to follow, right? Like, let's say, that biophotons are extremely critical for the way that your brain processes imagery, right? So if you put sunglasses on, that's really not good for you. You're like,
I stopped wearing sunglasses years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So when
I don't even notice anymore.
Right.
Like, you used to be like, oh, the sun's real bright, I need my sunglasses. And, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. I'm just not going to wear sunglasses.
So when did people start popping up with melanoma all over the place?
I just stopped. I'm telling you, dude. Like,
what I'm saying is, you watch James Dean come out and throw his fucking,
and you're like, oh, that looks cool,
right? Yeah,
the Terminator. Yeah,
this is where that's the part of what they do. That's the magic part. That is the influence over them. That's the magic anyway. Like Hollywood, it's what they made the magic wands out of. Back in the day, it was Hollywood, like literally Hollywood. But the guy that started Hollywood was a Freemason. So
of course he was.
And then again, like the Freemasons initially were built to preserve Egyptian spirituality and
I did not
magic.
know that.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. Yeah,
you're a great dude. I'm happy I met you.
Same, likewise.
I want you to come back.
Let's make a documentary.
Nobody'd fucking believe it. Well, the problem is it's like 1,000 points of light. Like you have to, the problem is like this, it's so the hydra of it and the spider web of it where it's all connected. Like people have been, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but conditioned to expect things in certain ways
and wear sunglasses and chew bubble gum.
Well, it's like stories, right? So like if you want to do a documentary and you want to tell a story, it's, people, you were talking before about like the 30-second videos. Well, the truth is like people only have like a 6-second span right now of paying attention. And it's like, it's only the ones, you can't convince people of anything other than the ones who want to be convinced. Otherwise you're screaming into a pillow and they don't want to be, this is why it comes down to like that good and evil shit. Like it's at the end of the day, it's very binary.
here's another like critical part of the smart city stuff. What that has all been through Facebook. Facebook was LifeLog. That was a creation of DARPA first. You know that, right?
Yeah.
LifeLog.
Yeah.
Right? So they sell that off to Mark Zuckerberg. That's the information and data set that Israel monitors all of the free people in the United States. So the reason I'm telling you that is the digital quarantine. They'll throw me into an echo chamber with a million other people if they want, right?
People would refer to that now as shadow banning.
Though they call it shadow banning, but it's the same people that have access based on algorithms for me to, right? You're not going to have Jamie Walsh being sent the videos that I'm talking about every day,
right.
or whoever, right? Whatever, like federal employee or FDA or FBI or CIA. Well, the CIA is literally like, that's the control of Israel for sure. All of them, KGB, like that's the unifying.
The intelligence agencies.
Yeah, all the intelligence agencies. They all work together against all the people of all of their countries.
Yeah.
Literally. Which is the ultimate. It's all Mossad trained, every single one of them. Always has been. So it's like, that's the devastating news, is like your own government is the ones who have done this to us, like through people like Dr. James Giordano, what's her faces, Regina Dugan worked for DARPA, Facebook, Google, right, through all the measure, monitor, track and trace. That's look at one of my videos. You see she's sitting doing a TED talk. She's like, we take this little pill or we get these magic tattoos.
I saw something like that.
So that was all the graph. That was the.
I think that's unfortunately it's like the only thing we can come to is like love. Yeah, like it's the only thing that matters.
Love for your neighbors, right? Like all of it. That's the one big giant thing that rules over all of it. But like you literally have to have the entire country, the entire world all shut down at once. Everybody say, hey, I'm not coming into work today, Mr. President, because the presidents are the guys that pull the strings on all the other stuff. But if the whole world as people just decided to say, yo, fuck this game, I don't want any more to do with it. That's the answer. That's the only answer there is right now.
I just don't think they would.
Yeah.
Like they have to, because everybody's been set up for consequences and they don't want to suffer any consequences.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's like people, they care about different things.
Yeah.
Like the thing that motivates them is not the thing that motivates you or the thing that motivates me. And sometimes it's money and sometimes it's status and sometimes it's, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, trust me, man. Principle
over finance, man.
Yeah. What you're like, people give me shit for like whatever I think now. And I'm like, do you think like this was like, if I had to choose, I would choose this path of like scorn and ridicule and people making fun of you and saying that you're not a serious person and that you're racist or whatever, anti-Semitic or transphobe.
Is that why you're asking about the family thing to have a comparison?
I was just asking because it's like, how did you deal with it? Because I talked to a lot of people who kind of like, here's the thing. Like, I killed me is what I did. I killed me. I was a happy-go-lucky, happy, funny, awesome. You ended that character? Yeah. Seems like the only way. Yeah. Like once you get rid of that, right, you kill all expectation at that point, right? But now you've sacrificed your life in reality, right? The second coming, your reincarnation, right? You sacrificed that off for actuality. I used to keep one foot in each one of those worlds. Now I don't give a fuck about that world anymore. Like I'm at this point where everything is actuality. If I'm not doing this stuff all of the time, every day, everywhere I go, who's going to ever learn anything? Who's ever going to know that it is actually important enough to start caring about what's going on with these data centers, right? The memory that they're stealing, the water that they're destroying, the things that they're monitoring and cataloging that are going to destroy everything about human freedom everywhere. Just as they destroyed right now with all this shit down in Florida, all the crops are dead. Are they? All the crops down in Florida, when they have an early grow season, like right at this point in the year, I have a friend down there who just told me, yeah, all the farmers are freaking the fuck out. They just got froze out in Florida. Oh yeah, that's right. They got hit with a deep freeze. Right. So kills everything. Your crop's done. Yeah. Game over. So what are you relying on now? Nothing. Right. You're fucked. Mr. Government, give me your plastic bagged fucking Cheetos, please. Well, I don't know. They say that, the digital currency thing, once they get rid of cash, that's the end. All of this is over with at that point. So it's like and the only way to stop any of that stuff is the cloudbuster thing. When I tell you that was a major thing, like I've had the Air Force, I've had NASA
I've had Noah over my house. They all work together. I'm not lying.
So crazy.
Yeah, but it's 100% real. 100%. Noah uses their data to tell the FAA. Right. I've been watching the flight apps. I've watched planes leave the east coast of Florida, flying to Maine in a 7 or 8 hour flight or something it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Come across the northeastern Pennsylvania to go all the way up to Maine.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Right. And I'm watching this line go right through the blue pocket that I just created with a cloudbuster.
I mean,
then another one. And then another one. I'm watching them all day long. California, Northern California, or Washington State to New York or to Maine. Just fucking had to come down through Pennsylvania, didn't you?
Yeah, why?
Right.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Dropping luggage? From the sky?
And I've got friends that are pilots. They're like, yo, we wouldn't fucking know anyway. It's so outdated. We would never know. We take all of our information from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency. So they are a big part of the overall program. So they get the radar data. They distribute it to I can't tell you. You're talking about the storm heads not showing up at the
data centers in Ashburn, Virginia,
right? Because that's negative and positive ions. It's all about ions. It's an electrical.
It's how electricity works.
Charged particles, basically. Yeah. So when you create the cloudbuster, what you do is you're sending up negative ions, right? You create a jet propulsion system for scalar waves. You're also making an antenna. So you need static potential to be drawn out of the clouds because that's what the fabric of the cloud is held together by. So you draw that static potential down. You're grounding the earth. You're harmonizing the atmosphere as it's supposed to be. You draw that static potential down to the ground and you replace it. Just as I move my hand through the water, something's got to replace the area that I pushed out of the way already. There's something that's going to fill behind it. So it's the same thing inside the air. Even though we can't see it, but that energy needs to be, there has to be some form of reciprocity, right? So that's the way that all of that works anyway. And
I want to have you back.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
A couple weeks?
Anytime.
Are you cool with it? A couple weeks?
Anytime.
All right. I think this will come out next week.
Next week.
Yeah. I got one I got to release tomorrow with I had the kids from Turning Point on.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get like a handle on like the youth, see what they're thinking.
It's you should get my son on here. My dad's fucking nuts.
Bring him next time. Bring him. It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, he's going to spend most of the time arguing with me if that's the case.
Look, man, here's the thing.
He's very headstrong, getting his ego out of the way is a hard thing, but I want to carry him
mushrooms,
with me
man.
This. I know. Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but the only thing that broke my brain was like, all right, we're all connected. The universe there's something to it.
Yeah.
And you have to.
I'm going to need to. I haven't had my fair share.
You never did that yet?
No. I tried once when I was a kid. We were at a Dave Matthews.
Not the same.
What do you mean?
Like when I do it, it's like blindfolded for hours because it's like you have to go inward. You can't let external stimuli manipulate you. That's the problem. Oh, so like when a lot of people do it, they're like, oh, I'm going to go to a fucking Allman Brothers concert. It's like, you're not going to have a breakthrough of anything. You're just going to feel weird.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can't do any of that. I lost sound in the right side.
Yeah, so did I. All right. Well, man. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
So cool. Yeah.
Thanks, brother. I had fun.
Thanks, everybody.